You're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2, and it's opening day at beautiful Belmont Park. The calendar back on track where it should be this year after a delayed opening to the Belmont Spring-Summer Meet last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We're proud of how far we've come and what we have to look forward to. There's the Secretariat statue in the iconic Belmont Park Paddock as we get ready for some great racing coming up. Our show is brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. So happy to have you with us. I'm your host, Acacia Courtney, joined by former champion jockey Richard Migliori, and it's great to be back at Belmont, Richie.
It really is. Nothing like opening day, that excitement. I used to walk up the ramp when I was riding and look out over the turf course, and it was kind of the same feeling you'd get when you'd go to Yankee Stadium and you'd come up and break out into the sunshine and that beautiful expanse of green grass, and it's just a great paddock, too.
Yeah, it really is. As we have some sunshine today, though the temperatures may be a little bit chilly, but look at how great that turf course looks. We will start on the main track, though, as we're just moments away from the opener here. Scratch the Plain 1 and the 2 in race 1, which is a $50,000 maiden claiming race, going a mile on the main for 3-year-olds and upward, and full court press, blinkers on. Third time out for Belmont is currently your favorite.
Yeah, gets the blinkers, gets relief in class. Got the inside post at Belmont, the mile chute. They break right kind of on top of the gap where you joins the main track. You got to make sure you have your horse's attention. Junior Alvarado, a seasoned veteran, I'm sure will be conscious and cognizant of that fact.
Has not been the sharpest out of the gate in the last couple, but my notes from his 2 races down in Florida were that he's great for a mile, well-muscled individual, just needed some maturity. The 7 Triple Americano to the outside, dropping back down to a claiming level, is also taking some attention.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting horse. Ran for maiden 25 against state breds, ran very well, got a nice buyer figure, came back against maiden allowance state breds and got the same buyer figure. He paired it up. If he runs that, any one of those races, makes him competitive here.
Loading in for race number 1 as we get ready to kick things off in the Spring-Summer Meet on opening day at beautiful Belmont Park. Here's track announcer John Embrial with the call.
They're in the gate. And they're off at beautiful Belmont Park. And it is Triple Americano who is out for the early lead. Now full court press moves up down at the rail, and it is full court press who pokes ahead in front of Triple Americano as they move up the backstretch. The front 2 have 3 lengths on Principino, who is racing in third. And then it is Our Lucky Man. Down on the inside is Zuzu Dini, and farther back is the first-time starter Unrule, who trails the field. The first quarter was run in 24 and 2/5 seconds, and it is the favorite, Full Court Press, who leads here by a half length. Triple Americano's on the outside in second. Now it's a half dozen lengths back to Principino, who is running in third, followed by Zuzu Dini and Our Lucky Man, and at the back of the pack is Unrule. They go around the far turn, half mile 1 in 48 and 2/5 seconds. On the inside, it is Full Court Press, and on the outside, it's Triple Americano. They remain heads apart for the lead. The others are getting a bit closer now. Up on the outside is Principino, who takes third. Then Zuzu Dini, followed by Our Lucky Man, and farther back, Unrule. They're coming for the quarter pole. Full Court Press, pressured on the outside by Triple Americano. They are right together, and now Full Court Press gets clear. It's Full Court Press in front by 2.5 lengths. Triple Americano couldn't keep up. Oh, veering out there was Full Court Press, but holding on to the lead. Principino has moved into second. Zuzu Dini is down at the rail. As they come on for the finish, it will be Full Court Press and Junior Alvarado to take the Belmont opener. Zuzu Dini was second, then Principino and Our Lucky Man.
Full Court Press wins the opener on opening day. A little bit of drifting there in the stretch, just as he did his first couple of races, though, Richie.
Yeah, fairly dramatic swerve in the middle of the stretch. Junior Alvarado went to his left-handed crop, and he basically let him know, don't do that again. I don't like it, and I'm not going to have it. And good thing that Junior read the signals correctly, because I think he might have done something really dramatic, but this horse was much the best. Went to the lead, pretty stiff headwind on the backstretch. Fractions were very controlled, but you see there the way he veered out. He went back, put the stick back in his right hand. The horse drifted away from it, and then it was just hands and heels. Smart decision by Junior Alvarado. Sometimes horses like that, Acacia, are so much better having company till late. Try not to leave all the horses and open up a wide margin because their mind gets to wander a little bit.
And how does that headwind affect what we may see as far as the fractions or when you're riding? Is that something you need to be cognizant of as you're moving?
Absolutely. As a jockey, you come out on the track, you're paying attention to which way the flag is blowing in the infield. And if it's a big stiff headwind and down the backstretch and you're on a speed horse, you want to get as low, as aerodynamic as possible, try to break that wind. And if you're on a closer, stay, draft in behind horses. Let somebody else break the wind for you.
Full court press at 4-5. Winner of the opener. Broke a lot better today. Showed some extra maturity there, just having that experience, the blinkers going on. And funny, I had actually gotten tripped up a little bit because when I saw him first time out, I had noted that he wore blinkers. They actually brought him into the paddock with blinkers on and then took them off before the race, which some horses that need some extra focus will do. This time, he raced with them.
Well, and you could see a horse that probably definitely needs blinkers, what he did in the middle of the stretch. Just losing focus. Young horses getting away from company. Horses are herd animals. They like to run with each other. And, you know, this horse is a big favorite, rightfully so. The last person I saw before I came into this clubhouse studio that we have set up was Lee Einsiedler, his owner. Kind of an omen.
There you go. I'm sure Lee is very happy to be here at Belmont Park and celebrating a win here in the first race. Zuzudini at 10-1, the 5 did check in second. As we take a look at the lanes, take a look at very dramatic drift there, and then Junior Alvarado correcting him, going right back to that hand ride you mentioned.
Yeah, and kind of throwing the reins at him, keeping his attention to go forward, because he also looked like he had a little bit of idle in him when he hit the front, kind of waiting on his company a little bit. You don't want a horse to completely shut down, and then you get caught by surprise. The runner-up, Zuzudini, 10-1. We focus so much on the winners of races, and sometimes we lose really good winning efforts from horses or riders. I've seen Trevor McCarthy hit the board with so many long shots through the recently concluded Aqueduct meet. He's a rider that gets maximum placing from his mounts.
Absolutely. Has done really well throughout the Mid-Atlantic, has continued that good momentum coming here to New York. There's Lee Einsiedler getting his picture taken. Nice way to kick off the meet.
Absolutely. You start Belmont with a winner. It's always a great thing. Start any meet as the winner. You're a leading trainer, leading owner, leading jockey, at least for one race.
That's it. We'll see how long Junior Alvarado and Bill Mott can keep that momentum going. Obviously, they've teamed up together for quite a few wins over the years. And coming off another banner year together, take a look at the prices as Full Court Press was your favorite here in the opener, $3.60 winner. Congratulations to those connections getting their pictures taken. Zuzudini in second at a big price, and Principino, the 1A, does check in third. That's the first race here at beautiful Belmont Park. First race in the books, but don't worry, a lot more things to come as we start to look ahead to what this Belmont Park spring and summer meet will bring us. Of course, we're looking ahead to the Belmont Stakes. We are just 9 days out from the Kentucky Derby. That means it's that time of year, so to speak, Richie.
Yeah, just such great racing on tap the entire meet. And we have such beautiful turf courses here, and it's very fair turf racing because it's wide, expansive. Both turf courses, horses get their opportunity to save ground, sit inside, and then come out and make their runs. But terrific racing that we got to look forward to.
We have stakes action kicking off tomorrow as far as graded stakes. Next week on May 1st, we have all of those great things to look forward to. The Grade 1 Man Award in a couple of weeks. Of course, the Belmont Stakes weekend, 8 Grade 1 races on Belmont Stakes Day.
That's just a celebration of our sport. I mean, obviously, the headline is the Belmont Stakes, but the supporting undercard cast and basically every division is covered. And it's just, as a racing fan, this is what we look forward to.
We'll welcome in now the third member of our team, Maggie Wolfendale, who will be in the paddock with us all day today. And Maggie, I know a time of year that you look forward to as well, especially with 2-year-old racing kicking off tomorrow too.
Yeah, looking forward to that as Acacia here in the winner's circle. And what a difference a year makes in that, you know, you don't know how good you have it until you've lost it. And getting back to Belmont at the original time that we always come over here with that full and loaded stakes schedule, 59 stakes worth $16.95 million throughout this spring and summer meet. As you said, headlined by that Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. We have the Grade 1 $1.5 million Belmont Stakes, a third leg of the Triple Crown, but there's also 8 supporting acts, and several of them Grade 1 6 to be exact, and a few too, like the Met Mile, the Ogden Fitz, and the Jaipur. They're winning your end for the Breeders' Cup. Never too early to start thinking about the Breeders' Cup in the fall. And we lead into that week with Thursday Stakes and Friday Stakes. So really looking forward to the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival and just the whole meet in general. It's so nice to get over here to Belmont. And Acacia, I'm hoping that by June the 5th, as the hair goes in my face, we have a little better weather than we have here for opening day.
Yeah, right there with you, Maggie. There's nothing like eating your hair in the paddock. You don't have that problem, though.
Don't have the problem. Keep it short. Got to keep it tight.
That's it. As we take a look at what's on tap today, today's race is brought to you, as always, by our friends at Claiborne Farm. We have still races 2 through 8 here at Belmont Park on opening day. We're fast and firm, getting a chance to try out that beautiful turf course in just a little while. We also have races 1 through 6 at Oaklawn Park on today's program, dealing with a fast main track there in Hot Springs, Arkansas this afternoon. As you can join Naira Bets during Triple Crown season and get a free $25 bet for the Kentucky Derby. Sign up today with promo code DERBY25. Plus, you can earn an additional $200 sign-up bonus. Sign up now at NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get your free $25 Derby bet. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime, and join now at NairaBets.com to earn that free $25 bet plus $200 deposit match. As we get ready to take a look at the feature today, which is race number 7, coming up a little bit later on here at Belmont Park. And we've got a nice field assembled in this allowance race, going 6.5 furlongs for the fillies and mares. Taking a look at Aunt Kate, Aunt Cat, however you say it. This one won very impressively last time out. That's one thing I can certainly say.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we start to see this time of year. These are horses that could be springboarding to bigger and better things. So we're always looking for the next stars, and she was quite impressive here at Aqueduct when Aqueduct still had the turf blankets on.
Yeah. And how about it? Belmont and Junior Alvarado, they won the opener on opening day. They're looking to win the feature a little bit later on. This one for owner Carl Pollard, $410,000 filly by Uncle Mo. She faced the boys, going a distance of ground 2 starts back, and obviously cutting back to sprinting was the right move for her last time, as she's 8-5 on the morning line.
Yeah, rightful favorite here. I'm curious to see how Pleasant Orb comes back as a 4-year-old. The filly showed a lot of promise. A very distant second in the Grade 1 Acorn last year against Gamine. But Barkley tags the trainer, too, that horses improve as they race and get older, much like Shug McGahee.
Taking a look at Ruby's in Time, a mare who's probably one of the more established ones in the field. She won her last 2 races, including a stakes try last time out. She was running almost exclusively against New York bred company, but she's really kind of stepped up through the ranks.
She really has, and Rick Schosberg's a trainer. When he gets a horse in a good form cycle, they'll tend to hold that form cycle. So she's in very good form right now. I do think she's facing tougher today with the likes of Aunt Kate, but Ruby's in Time, horse that has some speed, and in good form, they're always dangerous.
Absolutely, and they have that good form. They tend to keep it for the most part. An interesting feature race to look forward to coming up a little bit later on in race number 7, and we've got a lot of racing from start to finish on the program here at Belmont Park. What was that feeling like when you came back on opening day? Just giddiness?
Yeah, because, you know, the winter kind of gets to dragging a little bit on you. It's cold weather, you know, the commute over to Aqueduct on the Belt Parkway. And I lived within a mile of Belmont Park, so it was basically just kind of a relief to get back here. And also, you know that the quality of racing is going to continue to improve.
No Belt Parkway to deal with here, that's for sure, as you can walk up through that iconic tunnel here at Belmont Park. And we'll talk about, in 9 days, the Kentucky Derby. You can take a ride along with the Derby favorite, Essential Quality. Hamming it up for the camera there for trainer Brad Cox.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Catholic Boy, one of only 3 American 3-year-old colts in history to win Grade 1s on both dirt and turf, including the immortal Secretariat. A 6-time graded stakes winner from ages 2 to 4, he was the fastest 3-year-old of his crop over 10 furlongs. Now his first foals have arrived. Dual surface Grade 1 winner Catholic Boy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. We're getting ready now for the second race at Aqueduct, but first we're going to talk about what's coming up in just 9 days. It feels like the Kentucky Derby has really just crept up on us. All of a sudden it's here. All of the points races are complete. The leaderboard is set and horses starting to really get ready for heading into that starting gate. As here's a look at the Triple Crown schedule this year, back where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, last year kind of all over the place. Belmont Stakes was first.
Yep.
Kentucky Derby first Saturday in September, back to its traditional first Saturday in May. And I love the flurry of activity at Churchill Downs now with all these horses, you know, arriving on the grounds, training, and the buzz and excitement. The atmosphere is incredible.
Taking a look at the likely favorite, I can't imagine that he wouldn't be a favorite. Essential Quality, undefeated, 2-year-old champion. This is his work back on April 17th at Churchill Downs with regular pilot Louis Saez aboard.
And one of the things that makes Essential Quality so good, Acacia, is how smart he is. And he just waits for his rider. What do you want me to do? I'll do it. You want me to sit off this horse? I'll sit off him. You want me to engage him? I'll engage him. He's basically a jockey's dream in that respect. He doesn't get rank. If they go fast, he can be further back. He goes slow, he'll put himself in the game. Interesting kind of work here. I wasn't crazy, and watch as they go past the wire. He didn't corner really well. Now, the finish line at Churchill Downs is right on top of the turn, but watch how right here into this turn, to me, he didn't corner well, and he didn't gallop out as well as you might have liked. I thought his work was very good, very solid, very deserving favorite. If I've got to pick it apart, that was the one thing that I just thought was a little bit of a negative.
And at this time of year, see if you can find those negatives or those weak points in those heavy favorites as take a ride along with your Kentucky Derby favorite, Essential Quality, next. Love getting a chance to see that point of view. Jockey Louis Saez aboard Essential Quality. Bring back some memories, Richie?
Absolutely. I tell you what, that's a great angle. Yeah. That is giving you the experience as close as you're going to get without actually doing it. I mean, I really love the way they placed the camera. I guess they strapped it to his chest. That's fantastic. And yeah, it actually gives me a little flashback. Give me a little jump in my step here.
I love that. Get you a little bit of excitement as he is atop that leaderboard as far as those points are concerned. He's undefeated, was the 2-year-old champion, came back here in 2021 as a 3-year-old and kept that perfect streak alive as he sits with 140 points.
And, you know, he really is so versatile. He can be up on the pace if they go slow, which you wouldn't anticipate in the Kentucky Derby. Usually always too fast a pace for the distance. He's shown he can rally through traffic, take kickback. He's pretty well seasoned favorite heading into the Kentucky Derby.
He won a prestigious Kentucky Derby prep in the Bluegrass. For more, let's hear from his trainer, Brad Cox.
I thought it was a great effort, and it showed, some determination and fight that he has that we didn't really know. I mean, he had to fight to win the Breeders' Cup. I mean, it wasn't like he just galloped around there in the Breeders' Cup, but, he definitely got a lot out of it, from a mental standpoint and physically. So I thought it was a huge effort. The numbers were all exactly what we wanted to see, and I think if he's got another step forward in him, he's going to be very tough to every day. He's continued to get better every race, from the time he broke his maiden Breeders' Futurity, then Breeders' Cup, and then he popped with a really good number in the Southwest. I thought his Southwest number was really good. He raced 3 wide on a muddy track, and then came back and moved forward again in the Bluegrass. I mean, really with all these horses, you're hoping they don't regress. He's not giving us any signs of regression, based off what he physically looks like and how he's training. So, I do think he needs to step forward one more time, and I definitely think it's possible, just given the fact the way he looks physically.
It's been my goal from the start, is to not only get to the Kentucky Derby but win it. So the first step's getting to it, and I feel like we're very live with 3 very good horses. So I feel like we're in a great position. Fortunate to be in this position, and hopefully we can take advantage of it. And one of these good colts can get it done. So but it means a lot. I mean, it means everything as far as being here. This is the #1 race in America as far as I'm concerned, or in the world as far as I'm concerned. So hopefully we can execute.
It's been Brad Cox's world, and we've just been living in it. 4 Breeders' Cup wins on that Breeders' Cup weekend. The 2-year-old champion, Essential Quality, see him in action at Churchill Downs next week, but it's opening night at Churchill Downs on Saturday, April 24th. Their first post is 6 p.m. Eastern. You can watch that racing with us here on America's Day at the Races. We'll be on from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. You heard that correct. We've got you covered for all of it on Fox Sports 2. Back here today, we've got the second race at beautiful Belmont Park, and we're on the turf, getting a chance to take that turf course for a spin, a mile and a 16th, and this allowance for 4-year-olds and upward. Principled Stand, the colt by Kingman for Chad Brown, currently the heavy favorite. For more on this horse and the rest of the field, let's get a paddock report from Maggie Wolfendale.
Never thought I'd be so underdressed and underprepared for the weather here at Belmont, as I really should have worn my hair up and put on another heavier jacket. But taking a look at your heavy favorite in here, Principled Stand, and watching that first race at Tampa, I mean, not to borrow/steal Andy Serling's line, as he is standing right next to me here in the paddock, he ran like a wildebeest. He really did. I mean, he was kind of green when they broke, and then suddenly I don't want to say became rank, but he drug rider Antonio Gallardo to the front, ears pricked, just happy as can be doing it out there, and then drew away by 7 1/4 lengths. This horse obviously can run, and it wasn't like he was beating a field of bums either. I mean, I think it was an okay field. He doesn't meet much here again either. He truly looks like a Kingman from the progeny that I have seen run here in the States, kind of that smaller yet well-balanced, athletic, plain kind of brown paper wrapping, plain bay, but very fit, well-conditioned. He is a very likely winner of this second race. Moving on to what might be his biggest foe in number 7, Red Storm Risen, second off of a layoff in which he kind of did run off in that first start coming back at Tampa with the blinkers on, though he had run with them before. He just seemed very, very headstrong and probably did a little too much, a little too early on in the running to have anything left in the tank. And 2, while this is actually the first time I'm personally laying eyes on him, he is a big, good-looking son of Stormy Atlantic, and sometimes those bigger types, they take a little racing to truly get fit. He projects to sit kind of that stalking trip, I would think, depending on what they do with Principled Stand. But he looks great. He looks very fit. He's dappled head to toe here for Grand Motion. He looks like a formidable type, at least from the physical perspective, as we'll take a look at number 3 in here. That is Osser for Mike Maker, son of Into Mischief, who I don't actually mind Into Mischief on the turf. The dam was very good on all surfaces, whether it be synthetic, dirt, or turf. She seemed to run the same number, which was around 90 each and every time she ran. Looking at him, though, I don't see turf. It's Mike Maker, so if there's anybody to do it, it's him, but he's this kind of big, I don't want to use the word chunky, but he's a very robust type, and you want a little bit more of a leaner body confirmation on the turf. Plus, he doesn't have the proverbial turf hoof either. So I would rather take the wait and see approach, but he is a generous 8-1 on the board. Acacia.
Fair enough, Maggie. Thank you. Asser, 8-1, a big price for Mike Maker, but principled stand for Chad Brown continues to be the favorite. But you can follow along and get all of the stats on the horses, trainers, and jockeys in today's races with free Equibase past performances. Visit NYRA.com/TV schedule to download your free past performances on all of the races for today's show. Getting ready to kick off the early pick 4 here in race number 2. As taking a look at the field here, what did you think about this favorite Richie principled stand? Mackie talked about how he was really intent on getting to the front.
Yeah, and he just basically toyed with the field. When a horse wins by open lengths like that on the turf, it's impressive. Turf racing seems to bring horses together. You don't see that kind of separation very often unless a horse just dominated a field. Maggie talked about the overall quality of that field. What stood out to me is he came home his last quarter in 23-2 after setting fairly fast fractions, the first quarter in 22-4. That's finishing with your legs underneath you still. So I think he pointed himself out that he does have ability. The 3 Asser's got an interesting pedigree. You know, it's good to get Maggie's perspective about the physicality of the horse and how they may be suited to turf. But the Dam, Amen, Hallelujah, ran once on the turf. She was 3rd in the Grade 1 just a game. And she did have a foal, Mercy Ann, that was 1 for 3 on the turf.
Into Mischief, the hottest sire in the world, arguably right now. They seem to do just about anything, which is always a feather in that cap. The number 7, Red Storm Risen, is another one who could potentially have some speed, was a bit of that runoff last time out at Tampa. The blinkers coming off today, that could potentially help him to settle a bit.
Yeah, blinkers off usually gives a horse a little opportunity to kind of see things and settle a bit more. He's also drawn on towards the outside. He has one horse outside of him. On the 1:16 turf course on the main turf, it's a much gentler kind of dog leg or bend into the backstretch. It's a little bit of a shoot, but he's out there, and sometimes horses get a little bit lost. They get a little more relaxed because they're not like down close to the fence where that's usually the clue to go on.
We'll kick off the post parade here, starting with the number 2, American Rule, who tries the turf for the first time.
Yeah, tries the turf for the first time, and horse that actually seemed like he was rounding a little bit back into form. Turf is the big question.
I should say tries the turf for the first time in a while. Did run twice on the grass a long time ago, though. Here's the 3, Asser, who is trying the turf for the first time.
Again, kind of has a pedigree that says he could do it, but Maggie thought that maybe he didn't really have the look of a turf horse. But Mike Maker, like she said, you always have to respect when he puts horse on the turf.
Seems to do that so well. As does this guy, Chad Brown. He has principled stand.
Yeah, well, Chad does pretty much everything well. Boy, horse is just, he looks like a miler, doesn't he? Kingman, kind of the miler type. Showed he has ability in his first start.
Here's the 5, So High, second off the layoff.
And the second off the layoff, had some decent races last year that actually would be competitive here.
See if he can run back to those. As here's that number 7 we talked about, Red Storm Risen.
I love the blinkers off for a horse that was a bit keen. Should settle a little bit better, even if he's close or on top of the pace, if he's doing it relaxed.
And a long shot, the number 8, Fame to Famous.
Yeah, rightful long shot. He ran really big in the Red Smith as far as figure-wise. He was beaten 7 lengths, but much, much tougher company. That's the only race that he actually really showed that would even put him in contention here.
You can play against your friends and fellow fans with the Showdown, a free-to-enter handicapping contest following the New York racing on our program. Place your picks now and watch your name climb the leaderboard and earn real prizes. Visit NYRA.com/showdown to get started. Always like to hear if anybody has a little side wagers going on with that Showdown as well. A lot of fun, and we hope that you will be participating each and every day. We talked a little bit about the favorite principled stand as we take a look at that debut race from Tampa, and you will find throughout the winter a lot of big barns, Chad Brown included, will run maidens over that turf course at Tampa. So I wouldn't say to take it as a negative that he debuted at Tampa.
No, not at all. And also the turf course at Tampa is very safe, nice turf course, very well maintained. You know, where they run so many turf races at Gulfstream, it'll tend to get a little bit beat up, a little bit used. So it's kind of a nice option to get a young horse, a horse making their first start started on a course that you feel very comfortable with. I will say, watching him in the post parade, this is an intense individual. You see him staying with the pony with Irad Ortiz, and he's on the bit, meaning he's really taking a hold of the horse, or the horse is really taking a hold of him, I should say. And they didn't warm him up a lot, which tells me that this is a horse that really wants to do more than they probably want him to do early.
The number 7, Red Storm Risen to the outside, was another one that opened up a big length lead last time. He, though, was not able to sustain that. He was run down late. Again, those blinkers do come off today, though.
Yeah, and his fractions were faster. Yeah, and it's hard to compare different days, but his fractions were much faster than Principled Stand. The first quarter was the same, but he didn't settle as much the second quarter, kind of staying keen. The blinkers off, the idea is to get them to settle more. It's been an angle that was pointed out to me by a good friend of mine for a long time, that's something you look for. Michael Canale, that's one of his angles when he's handicapping.
We'll see if he's able to sustain that speed or if he just settles a little bit more today as horses wrapping up their warm-ups on track. Let's go to Maggie for more.
Yeah, I had to, when Mig said that, I had to write that down, that in regards to Principled Stand, that he is an intense horse. I mean, he had 2 people on his head, which is typical of Chad Brown horses, but the assistant took his head to saddle him. He is just I don't want to say high-strung because he didn't necessarily do anything bad. He did get a little bit, apprehensive out on the racetrack as they went to go on the turf course here, but a horse that he knows his job, and he's more than eager to do it. As Osser got a big warm-up from Trevor McCarthy, a horse that doesn't have much speed. I think they're just trying to, he's a little bit on the laid-back side, so I think Trevor just really trying to get his blood up, get everything moving so he doesn't get too far away from this field early on. Acacia?
Maggie, thank you. Richie, you talk about that warm-up all the time, especially with a horse that's laid back. That's key.
Yeah, I like horses to get warmed up, get revved up, but individuals, if they're a little bit too tense, you don't want to kind of light the fire too early.
Loading in for race number 2, our first race of the meet on the turf. Here's John and Brielle with the call.
And the rough. It was a good beginning for Principled Stand, and the favorite has the early lead. Osser is racing in second as they make the bend and head for the backstretch. Principled Stand is on top here with So High racing in second, and down on the inside is Osser next in third. Fame to Famous up on the outside and a bit hard to handle there in fourth. In between horses, Red Storm Rising at the rail is American Rule. It is Principled Stand who leads here by a little more than a length after an opening quarter mile over the firm turf in 25 3/5 seconds. They're midway up the backstretch. Principled Stand is the leader. Osser is in second by a half length, and on the outside is So High in third. Then American Rule, followed by Fame to Famous and Red Storm Rising. Principled Stand is holding on to the lead here. The 1-5 favorite in front by a half length over Osser. Then on the outside is So High, who's running in third as they go into the far turn. Half mile in 51-1. Principled Stand is the leader, 3/4 of a length. Osser down on the inside is in second. So High is Asked for More on the outside in third. Then Fame to Famous, followed by American Rule and Red Storm Rising. Principled Stand has been in front right from the start. Will take the field to the top of the stretch. Then it is Osser, and on the outside, So High, followed by Red Storm Rising. The field comes into the stretch. Principled Stand has the lead. Red Storm Rising up on the outside into second. So High is next in third as Osser drops way back. It is Principled Stand trying to hold off Red Storm Rising. Principled Stand has the lead. Red Storm Rising up on the outside as they come for the finish. Principled Stand holds on by a long neck. Red Storm Rising was second. And So High finished third.
Principled Stand took them wire to wire and just indeed held on down in the stretch when a late charging Red Storm Rising came to call.
Yeah, and Principled Stand got a very easy lead, got very relaxed on the lead. His ears were up, he wasn't pulling, he was very, very comfortable, had everything his own way. Conversely, the 7 Red Storm Rising had trouble. He got basically shuffled back down the backstretch, was a bit keen, kind of caught in a precarious position, had to come wide for the drive, and made a bold run at your favorite, the 4 Principled Stand. with the trips, if you flip-flop the trips, you could make the case that maybe the 7 was best, but also Principal Stan was holding him off. Like, he got within a half length, and basically he couldn't gain any more ground, so maybe Principal Stan was kind of waiting on him and doing just enough to beat him.
That intensity you spoke about before the race, you saw that out on the track. I mean, right when he got to the lead, you saw his ears just go forward. As we'll take a look at the head-on down the backstretch. What do you see here, Richie?
Well, you know, you don't want to take a horse that could be a little bit keen or has speed right to the rail. Look where Irad's positioned in the red and white colors of Klarovich Stable. He's about 3-4 paths off the rail. That kind of fools a horse a little bit, because when you angle the fence, they usually in the morning, they want it, that's when they breeze, they work, their fast works. So he kind of kept him out, keeping him relaxed, keeping him settled. He's got Assar inside of him. As they get to the turn, he'll start to angle over and eventually take that path away from him. But keeping him off the rail down the backstretch, I think, helped him to keep Principal Stan as relaxed as he was.
And it certainly worked, as Red Storm Rising was in that uncomfortable position at the back, Maggie. But the winner, Principal Stan, very game to stay 2 for 2.
Yeah, I agree with Meg in that Red Storm Rising, you could arguably say that he ran the better race. And I will say that about 3 jumps after the wire, he was in front. I don't think that this horse wants to go, in regards to Principal Stan, any further, well, than a mile and a 16th, but a mile might truly be his game. And that's often what we see with the progeny of Kingman. They seem to be very, very effective milers, and that's what he looks like, and that's kind of how he ran today. Don't forget, too, he was coming off of a bit of a layoff, only his 2nd start, so there was an air of maybe needing a race and needing a race more to get his head back in the game. But a promising return today at Belmont for Chad Brown, but out of the race, you kind of feel bad for Grand Motion, his connections with Red Storm Rising.
Yeah, tough beat for sure on Red Storm Rising, who obviously took a step forward and showed different tactics today versus what he ran last time at Tampa. But top 2, certainly some nice runners here out of this race.
Yeah, I think they both showed that they have quality. Red Storm Rising was, you know, I think a bit unlucky, and trips play such a big part in turf racing. And as we have more and more turf racing through this Belmont stand, identifying those trips leads to good bets in the future.
Things to watch for sure. Principal Stan, the winner, sold for about $280,000 at Tattersall's October yearling sale out of Book 1. But coming ahead tomorrow, the first stake of the meet is the affirmed Success, as Captain Bombastic will look to get back to the winner's circle as we kick off the stakes action here at beautiful Belmont Park.
The ultimate accolade for a racehorse is to be named Horse of the Year. To be enshrined to the Hall of Fame is to achieve immortality. As a stallion, genetic immortality is defined in 2 words: breed shaper, plain and simple. 2-time Horse of the Year and Hall of Fame inductee, Curlin, is just that. Breed shaper, Curlin, the classic sire.
Twin Spires is the wagering home of the Kentucky Derby, and with racing at Churchill Downs back, new players can take advantage of our $200 sign-up offer right now. Simply use code GET200 to start earning your $200 new player bonus when you join Twin Spires today and bet on the best racing from the U.S. and around the globe. Plus, if you're looking for help to find a winner, check out our expert picks available in the app for every race. Twin Spires. Bet dedicated.
The Run Happy Rally continues. Following C defeated Happy Mac at Oaklawn Park, earning a huge 97 Beyer speed figure in just his 2nd start as the Sons of Run Happy finished 1-2. TDN immediately named him a rising star. Book your mare to Superstar Champion Run Happy for the incredibly low price of $10,000. Call Bernie Sampson, tell him you want the stallion who raced medication-free. Run Happy, standing in the legendary Stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Naira Bets, here with the winning rider of today's 2nd race, though, aboard Principal Stan, Irad Ortiz. And Irad, a horse that showed a lot of promise and talent first time out. 2nd start back today off of a layoff, a horse that has that natural speed. Noticing you kind of kept him off the rail a bit, was that just to relax him and conserve some energy?
Yes, honestly, I watched the first race at Tampa, and he braked so sharp. The jockey tried to relax, and he just wants to go. He let him go. He relaxed good. Went 22, then he slowed down a little bit, 47, and have something on the end. I just want to relax earlier. He opened the gates. He ran like a shot out of there. I just tried to relax and try to stay a little off the rail, like you say. Try to confusing a little bit. Mile 16 today, and it was off the rail. He relaxed well enough. Then by the 3 pole, I just start saving the last turn, some ground in the last turn, and asking to run. He responded really well.
Do you think he's a horse, though? Because a lot of the Kingmans that I've seen are horses that are better at a mile. Do you think he's probably best at that type of distance?
Probably the best distance is a 1 mile flat, but with Chad, you can expect anything from him. You know, he can make it go farther, even a stake minus 16. Hopefully the horse stays sound, and he has some talent, so hopefully he can show what he got.
Irad, real quick before I let you run it out of this wind, you'll be going to Churchill to ride in the Derby with Known Agenda. For you, Derby dreaming, I mean, what would it mean for you to win the Derby?
I mean, a lot. It's my biggest dream. I mean, I got 2 dreams in my life. I got win the Derby and meet Michael Jordan in person, so, I mean, there's 2 big dreams, so hopefully I can make one of them. That'd be great for me, honestly. I'm looking for one of those. I know it's hard. I think I got the horse. The horse doing great, but it's, you know, it's a difficult race. 20 horses, so you never know what's gonna happen. So hopefully he got it with us that day, and hopefully we can get it.
Well, you got the right guy in your corner in Todd Fletcher. Irad, congratulations here, and best of luck in Kentucky too.
Thank you very much, Maggie.
Well, Acacia, you heard it. He's got 2 dreams. I think he might be easier to win the Derby than meet Michael Jordan. What do you think?
I mean, I guess you never know. That's great. I wish Irad luck. I mean, I'd like to meet Michael Jordan, too. I hope he comes to the racetrack.
I think Michael Jordan's been to the Derby a few times. Now, wouldn't it be something if Michael Jordan attends this Derby?
Was in the winner's circle.
And he got to meet him after winning the Kentucky Derby? I think that would be overwhelming.
We
but
might need to send Irad to get a heart scan after that.
you know, if Michael Jordan's watching, Irad wants to meet you.
He does. We'd all like that. Please come to the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont Stakes and everything in between. It'd be fun. But that was great. Irad Ortiz wishing him the best of luck aboard Known Agenda. As we take a look at the field for race number 3, 6 furlongs on the inner turf coming up. This is a maiden claiming race for $40,000 for the fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. And Trevor McCarthy has the current favorite, Determined Heart, in from Maryland for Phil Schoenthal.
Yeah, this horse closed a great deal of ground, but that was about 11 months ago at Laurel, but really finished with a flourish going 5.5, and he gets 6 furlongs. She gets 6 furlongs to work with today.
We'll talk more about that third race in a moment, but looking ahead tomorrow when we do kick off our stakes action, we do so with the New York Breds, which is only fitting in the affirmed success. The Sprint Stakers is race number 8 on Friday's card. 9 to 5 on the morning line is Captain Bombastic, making his first start now for Chad Brown.
Yeah, and a horse that has shown a lot of ability in the past. He's versatile, too. He can come from off the pace. He can be on top of the pace if need be. It's always nice to have options as a jockey. But Captain Bombastic, and certainly moving to the Chad Brown barn, it's always going to take more attention. It's coming from a good barn, Jeremiah Englehart, who had great success with the horse as well. Another horse bred by Chester and Mary Broman, who just continually to breed top-class New York Breds. Should get the right kind of trip.
Taking a look at a couple of the other runners in this field on the outside, Big Engine and Running with Scissors will rematch after their try last time out at the Big A.
Yeah, I thought Big Engine got the best of the trip last time, the setup. It was a very fast pace. Running with Scissors was involved in that pace. He's drawn outside, completely outside, 6 of 6 this time running with Scissors, so he might have the opportunity to kind of have more of a stalking trip. But make no mistake, Big Engine was best the way the race was run last time.
It's a salty field as the quality keeps continuing with What Do You Think Now, who turns back in distance as well off the back of a victory. Speaking of Irad Ortiz, he'll be aboard this one.
Yeah, Trevor McCarthy sticks with the 3. Winner's Laugh for Barry Schwartz, who won it first asking. That's a half to Admonson. What do you think now? Turning back in distance, he has good speed going a mile. He'll probably be outrun and have to come from off the pace going 6 furlongs. There are some very fast crack sprinters in here.
did break his maiden, going 6 furlongs in the mud in an off-the-turf race. In fact, his first 2 races were off the turf, and then turned out he was a good dirt horse after that. But you brought up the difference in the distance with the turn back. You might see some different tactics.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at the half-mile times of his races, you know, going a mile, 24:49. They're going to go 22:45. It's going to be much sharper.
We'll see how that pace does materialize tomorrow in the Affirmed Success. Looking forward to that. But coming up after this break, we'll have the opener down in Hot Springs, Arkansas at Oaklawn Park. Stay with us. We've got a lot more live racing still to come on this Thursday edition of America's Day at the Races.
Caraconte, a leading sire amongst his crop by percentage of stakes horses. Caraconte is off to a strong start at stud. Top runners include graded stakes winners Kenzai Warrior and Sol Volante, plus 2-year-old stakes winner Spanish Love Affair and dual surface dynamo Princess Grace.
To Princess Grace.
A rising star with graded stakes winners on both dirt and turf. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Undefeated Grade 1 winner Mastery was a multiple graded stakes winner at 2, including this victory in the Los Alamitos Cash Call Futurity. At 3, he sizzled in the San Felipe Stakes. Now his progeny are bringing top dollar in the sales ring.
$450,000.
Internet buys, $510,000, thank you.
An exciting young stallion, Mastery, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2 as we get ready to kick off things down at Oaklawn Park. But first, we'll take a look at what's still to come as far as the stakes schedule there. Coming up this Saturday, we have the Bachelor Stakes for the 3-year-olds and a couple of stakes still on the calendar as far as the next couple of weekends. We welcome in now Nancy Holthus. First, as we take a look at the field for the Bachelor, that's race 10. On Saturday, the 24th at Oaklawn Park, a field of 6 in here for those 3-year-olds. Cazadero to the outside, 3-1 as we welcome in Nancy Holthus live with us at Oaklawn Park. Nancy, should be a fun rendition of The Bachelor coming up this weekend.
Yeah, a very competitive race for this Bachelor edition. Sir Wellington, Jackson Traveler, and Cazadero were the 1, 2, and 4 place finishers, respectively, last out in the gazebo. Now, Cazadero is the most accomplished in the field as he was the Grade 3 Bashford Manor winner, and he does look to improve off of that 4th place effort last out in the gazebo. He may have needed that race as that was his first start since early August of last year in that Grade 2 Saratoga Special. He has some really good works coming back, and Steve Asmussen very high second off the extended layoff, and a win for Cazadero would make it 6 Bachelor victories for Steve Asmussen.
Nancy, thank you. Looking forward to seeing that on Saturday. It seems like Steve Asmussen has won just about everything this meet down at Oaklawn Park, and looking to add to that tally with Cazadero, who was the favorite in the Saratoga Special before anybody really knew about a little horse called Jackie's Warrior.
Yeah, and Steve seems to not have only won every stake run at Oaklawn Park, but multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely. As a look to add to that tally with Cazadero on Saturday, he also has Jackson Traveler, so a nice 1-2 punch out of that 6-horse field to look forward to on Saturday for the Bachelor Stakes. Back here at Belmont Park, we have the 3rd race coming up. We talked a little bit about it already. 6 furlongs on the inner turf. This maiden claiming for $40,000, and while Determined Heart is still the favorite, I have a quick story to share, Richie. As Phil Schoenthal had a horse a couple of years ago named Gifted Heart, who was named after his son, Emerson, who needed a new heart. He had a rare condition, and it turned out that there was a little girl named Emerson who had a terminal illness, and their family actually donated her heart to his son, Emerson. Both of them were named Emerson. They never got to meet. And Determined Heart, I'm assuming, is out of that same story, but I remember Gifted Heart, a really, really emotional horse in the Mid-Atlantic for Phil.
Wow, that's an incredible story,
Yeah.
and hopefully his son is doing well.
Doing well? Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
fantastic,
Yeah.
and what a selfless, incredible gesture from her family
Yeah.
to save a little boy's life. Incredible, great story.
It really is amazing. I know, huge family man, so wishing him and his family luck as he's part owner of this horse, Determined Heart, as well as we'll take a look at this filly's last race. It was her turf debut. This was back in May at Laurel Park, and she kind of really took herself out of the race early on, but she came flying late.
Yeah, and you love those kind of closing turf sprinters. They're always kind of exciting. It was kind of interesting, though. She was in behind horses, and it looked like she was reluctant to come out from behind horses. She was trying to lug in, stay in behind horses until she got in the clear. She's still trying to lay in just a little bit. If she matured a little bit and it's a little easier for the rider to handle, and that was a 5-pound apprentice, and no knock on that apprentice jockey, but you get a very experienced rider in Trevor McCarthy who might be a little bit more prepared for a horse that's not running perfectly straight.
That is currently your 3-1 favorite here in the 3rd at Belmont, which does kick off the Pick 6 this afternoon. Make sure you take a look at that, as plenty of opportunity for those multi-race wagers, and we hope that you will partake in that Pick 6. Now a $1 wager, no more of that jackpot sequence. So take a look at that as the change is kicking off here with Belmont Park. Should be a lot of fun to take part in that Pick 6 sequence. 5-2 now on Determined Heart as we get a paddock report now from Maggie.
Thanks, Occasion. Taking a look at that favorite, as Meg had said earlier, we haven't seen her in 11 months, and she comes back, though, now as a 4-year-old. She looks incredibly fit. She's big. She's a bigger type, which I appreciate, and she looks strong here. So it looks as though Phil Schoenthal ships her in here with no stone left unturned. She does wear a hood once again, which she has in her races in Maryland, and maybe she is a nervous type, but if that's the case, the hood is working because she's very relaxed here in the paddock. But also, you know, thinking about how she wanted to lug in a little bit, I wonder if she's just kind of a quirky filly. I don't see any other special equipment on her in that sense. So we'll see what she does if she's mentally ready to come back to the races, because she surely looks physically ready. Moving on to horses who are trying the turf for the first time, that includes number 7, Level Playing Field. I mean, leave Chad Brown out in these situations at your own risk. My problem is Level Playing Field, she just doesn't seem to be playing on one, at least from the physical spectrum, perspective of things, in that just very slight in her frame. Now, that is typical of the Twirling Candy bloodline. I just wish she carried more conditioning. She was like this first time. It's much the same second time, though I do think, looking at her, she looks as though she should handle the turf. Very slack pasterns, very flat foot to her, and because she is that narrow, more angular type, then she should find the turf a bit more of a forgiving surface for her, despite the fact, though, Twirling Candies handle it, there's not much turf pedigree to write home about on the bottom side. And then there's number 4, Becca's Wish, a horse that I've kind of been intrigued by in, honestly, all of her effort. She has not shown up with much of an effort at any point. She does have a bit of a turf hoof to her. She is by M. Shawish, who obviously he can get a turf runner, and the dam did win on the turf, though none of the siblings have. she does have the proverbial turf hoof to her, and 2, you know, she's a horse that travels into the race, and then once she's kind of off the bit and the jock is asking her, then that's kind of when she falls apart on the dirt. And a lot of times that speaks of a horse that does want the turf because they can pick up a little bit easier on it. It's not as exhaustive as the dirt, which breaks away from them a bit more readily. So, Acacia, an interesting field here, though I do think the public has the favorite pegged right. She makes a nice impression in the paddock.
Good news, Maggie. Thank you. 5-2 on Determined Heart. As we want to remind everybody that Naira Bets is hosting a live money handicapping contest every Saturday during the Belmont Park Spring Summer Meet featuring racing from Belmont. It's a $300 buy-in with a cash prize pool as well as seats into next week's $300 contest. Registration ends at 5 p.m. on Friday. Visit naira.com/challenge to register to play. 5-2 on your favorite. Got a vote of confidence from Maggie there in the paddock. And it is always interesting when they come back off of a layoff. There's Phil Schoenthal. Nice to see him here in New York, as well as you hope that they take that next step forward. Now she is a 4-year-old.
Yeah, and you know there should be some maturity there. That was Maiden Allowance Company Sharana. She got very firm ground that day. Our turf is labeled firm, although we did have, you know, inclement weather, wet weather in the area over the past few days. She makes a lot of sense, no doubt about that. It seems to me, Acacia, that a lot of the Maryland horsemen are so proficient at getting horses fit off of the layoff. A lot of old school horsemanship in Maryland, a lot of steeplechase influence. You get a lot of trainers that were former steeplechase riders or worked for steeplechase trainers, and they know how to put the foundation, the miles into a horse to get them fit off a layoff.
Based at Fair Hill, this filly has been just excellent training facility, and the opportunity to train there and the different trails and paddocks and opportunity to just kind of be a horse as well.
It's a fantastic place. I used to love to go down there and work horses. When trainer John Kimmel had a division of horses, he would keep his 2-year-olds there. I would go down on Mondays and Tuesdays and get on 2-year-olds. And you have a turf course, you have wood chips, synthetic, dirt, trails. It's just really an incredible facility.
You and I got to spend some time working in Maryland over the years as well, and seeing that horsemanship on display too. So coming in here with intent, certainly, and dropping in class to the 40,000. But you have to imagine when you have a horse that you think is live and able to contend, because even for 40 in New York, these are some salty races sometimes, these maiden fields.
Yeah, there are no layups, particularly when we get to Belmont and particularly on the turf. And it's a maiden 40 with a $45,000 purse. I think the maiden allowance race at Laurel in the summer, well, hers was $58,000, but more recently I was seeing they were like 40, 45, so very comparable purses.
Let's see how she does stack up in here. Trevor McCarthy, again, he really started his career, had a lot of his success in Maryland in the Mid-Atlantic. There's a look at the Chad Brown runner level playing field. We saw her for a moment as she does try the turf for the first time. Heard from Maggie that physically it looks like she should be able to handle it.
Well, you like to hear that. And Chad Brown has such a handle on where his horses will excel. I don't see a particularly strong turf pedigree there on the female side of the family, but when Chad puts them on the turf, regardless of pedigree, they seem to perform.
She was also off slow in her debut, and now she gets to the turf for the first time. When you are riding a horse, so Javier Castellano's picking up this mount for the first time, and he's riding this filly that he knows got off slow in her debut. What are some of the things that you keep in mind moving towards her second start?
Well, you're definitely going to want to try to help them out of the gate, put their mind in the game, have them going forward. You're not going to take for granted, like a horse that has more established form, that they're going to break sharply. So generally, you're going to tend to help them out of the gate, give them a tap on the shoulder, kind of get their attention a little bit.
Getting ready for the post parade here in race number 3. Again, pick 6 kicking off here. That 15% takeout, $1 minimum. And Adele Cat will kick off the field as post position number 1.
Yeah, not taking a tremendous amount of money. We look for that as one of the clues with first-time starters. Jimmy Ryerson, a trainer that horses tend to round into form with some racing.
Next will be Patty D, who tries the turf for the first time. She is 16-1. Let's have a little bit of turf pedigree. There she is, pretty gray coming out of the tunnel.
There is some turf pedigree there. Her dam, Angelita, was accomplished on the turf, so maybe this is what she was looking for. She does have some recency, so, at least that one race in February should help her fitness-wise.
And do note that jockey change Nick Juarez has the mount on Patty D. Here's the 3, Zerenia.
Zerenia, kind of a horse that's run well at this distance, was very far back, going a mile in April, just over at Aqueduct.
Here's the 4, Becca's Wish, who tries the turf.
Tries the turf. Got good marks from Maggie as far as her physicality for turf, and I'm glad she said the sire's name, M. Sawish.
Yes. There was always a big conversation when he was racing of how to say it. Exotic Cat's a first-time starter.
Yeah, by Kitten's Joy, prolific turf sire, but probably want to go further.
Here's the 6, Determined Heart, your favorite.
Trevor McCarthy leaving the pony, getting a gallop into her. I think a very deserving favorite.
Next will be the Chad Brown Charge Level Playing Field.
Well, anytime you're trying to beat Chad Brown, do so at your own peril. He just, wins too consistently, particularly when he's putting a horse on the turf.
Here's the 8, Streetcar Jones.
I thought this horse was a little bit interesting at a huge price. And the mares had two foals to race on the turf, and they both were winners on turf.
The number 9 is Ostracized for Mark Cassie, turning back.
Yeah, but has run good at shorter distances. Was only beaten 3 lengths after rallying up to take the lead, going 5.5 at Fairgrounds.
And here's the 10, Crystal Orb, first time on the turf.
First time on the turf, and the turf's really going to have to improve this one.
We'll see how this filly by Orb does handle that surface switch, as she's a big price to the outside. But couple of minutes away, I should say, from the 3rd at Belmont Park. Back at Oaklawn Park, we have the opener coming up soon, a mile and a 16th for this $12,500 maiden claiming race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. Scratch the 7 to the outside as we'll get into the post parade with the 1, Precious Tinkle.
Yeah, mile and a 16th for Arkansas bred maidens, always very tough to handicap. The 1 has poor form and is taking some money at 9-1, so it kind of gives you an idea of how difficult it is.
Has had some trouble getting out of the gate in her 2 starts. Here's the 2, Lady Loot.
Yeah, making her 9th start, has been sprinting. Will stretching back out be the key?
The 3 is your favorite, Great in Red.
Well, it's consistently run fast enough numbers to win this. Her last effort was very good. Runs that race will be very tough to beat.
Was 22-1 last time out. Now she's 9-5. 2-1 is the 4, Renegade Sunset.
Horse dropping in class. Last race was certainly good enough to win, even though it was very far distance.
Here's the number 5, Curvature.
Horse taking money, I think, purely because of the connections. Ron Marquette and Ricardo Santana, and that might be enough to win me over.
Very well could be. Here's Sister of the Moon.
Yeah, another one. Not the greatest form. Her only dirt race was her best race, though.
That's the field for the opener at Oaklawn Park, as we'll head back to New York. Belmont Park has a race number 3 coming up, and warming up out on the track is the number 8, Streetcar Jones, at a big price. For more, let's check in with Maggie.
Yeah, talking about Streetcar Jones, I'm glad that Mig brought up the pedigree on her, because honestly, of the ones trying the turf for the first time, she arguably has the most. So I think that, that bodes well. And she's actually running with no front shoes. And I caught up with her trainer, Tally Lynch, and she just said, I've had so much trouble just getting her feet right. She doesn't have the strongest feet. And when you don't have a horse that has particularly strong soles, it makes it difficult to nail a shoe into them. So sometimes we often see horses running at Presque Isle, for instance, running with no shoes, because they can slide over that and still, have enough traction to propel themselves forward. So same kind of theory on the turf. As she said, I don't know if it's going to work, but it's kept her a lot more comfortable not having shoes on. And looking at her physically, guys, I think as though she should handle the turf. It's just, she's a big price up there, so I don't know if anybody else thinks she'll handle the turf.
Maggie, thanks. 31-1 at that price, worth taking another look at. And Maggie brought up the point about the no front shoes, and you will kind of see that sometimes. I mean, it cannot be underestimated how important a horse's foot is for a racehorse.
Well, the old saying around the racetrack is no foot, no horse. And she's running barefoot. I like the fact that we're at Belmont Park. Much lusher, thicker grass course, so it'll provide more cushioning for her. I thought she was interesting from a pedigree standpoint. I wound up picking her just because I'm swinging for the fences. I mean, it's a crazy idea.
I like it.
But, you know, when I went through the pedigrees in this field, I said, you know, this is a filly that might get overlooked, and I'll take a shot. I'll take a stab.
You've already drove the price down a little bit to 28 to 1.
Oh, yeah.
You're moving the board.
I'm moving the board, sure. Listen, I'm taking a chance. Anybody out there following along? There are other options here, okay?
But sometimes you have a big price and you want to take a shot. It's a race like this to do it, and she does have that pedigree to back it up. We didn't talk much about the 9, Ostracize, who does look to have a big chance turning back in distance after trying a mile for 30 at Fairgrounds.
Yeah, I mean, all of the sources, Ostracize races are good enough to win here. I mean, she's been very competitive. I was a little disappointed when I went back and watched her March 4th race on, going 5.5. She rallied up like she had to win, and it almost felt like when she hit the front, she hung.
I agree.
And, you know, when you get horses like that who, you know, seem like consistently are in a position to win and then they don't follow through, you start to question their desire when it's most needed.
We'll see if she does show that today, running for the lowest she has while sprinting. That's the 9, Ostracize. Determined Heart continues to be your favorite as they load in for the 3rd race at beautiful Belmont Park. Here's John and Brielle with the call.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Going for the lead is Patty D. The gray is in front earlier than it is Streetcar Jones. Level playing field, Becca's Wish. And on the outside, it is Ostracize. And then at the rail is Del Cat, followed next by Zarenia. It's almost 3 lengths to Exotic Cat. And trailing the field is Crystal Orb in 10th. Patty D, the long shot, steps away here to lead by 4 lengths. Adele Cat is at the rail with level playing field. Level playing field in second. Adele Cat is next in third, followed by Streetcar Jones, who is running in fourth. Ostracize on the outside in fifth, followed by Zarenia. And then comes Becca's Wish. And at the back of the pack are Exotic Cat and Crystal Orb. The quarter went in 23 and 3/5 seconds as the field hits the top of the stretch. Patty D now with company. Level playing fields in between horses. On the outside is Zarenia. Down at the rail is Adele Cat. Then Streetcar Jones in 5th. On the outside it is Zarenia coming on. Adele Cat down at the rail. Patty D continues to battle on as they come for the finish. It will be Zarenia to take it. Adele Cat was second, and it's a photo for third.
Zarenia with blinkers on, second off the layoff, gets the win here for John Terranova.
Blinkers usually to keep a horse a little more interested, a little more focused. Certainly had the desired effect here. Acacia Zarenia was in much better position with Kendra Carmouche and gets it done. Kind of a turf racing we love to see. 8th pole, looks like any one of 5 or 6 could win it, and that's the thing about turf racing, but good trip. Kendra Carmouche continues to ride in good form.
After having a very strong Aqueduct winter and spring, carries that momentum over here, winning the 3rd on opening day at Belmont after the 2 Patty D set the pace. We did see shortly after the break the 6 Determined Heart, Trevor McCarthy, pull her up pretty early on.
Yeah, it appeared that she took a bad step and he was able to pull her up. It seemed pretty straight and safely, but we'll see if we can find out more about that.
Certainly we'll keep you updated when and if we do have any news on that. But Zarenia, the winner of the 3rd race at Belmont Park under Kendrick Carmouche for John Terranova, getting back to that 6 furlong distance that she does seem to like so much. Coming back in a flourish, too. She seems pretty full of herself.
Yeah, she's got her legs underneath her, enjoying herself. Big prices underneath. First-time starter Adele Cat at 35 to 1 second. And Patty D also trying the turf for the first time out of a mare that was good on turf. 3rd at 31 to 1.
That'll make some good prices for you underneath theirs. That's the third at Belmont. We're getting ready for the opener at Oaklawn Park. We're loading in here. This was moments ago for the opener at Oaklawn. Here's Vic Stauffer.
They're off. Terrible start for Couverture. Renegade Sunset and a hard scent Precious Tinkle with Lady Loot. These three, now Renegade Sunset going to take back and sit third behind dueling front runners. Great in Red and Sister of the Moon, and Couverture is at the back of the pack and being angled out to the center of the racetrack, and it looks like Santana is going to pull Couverture up at the clubhouse turn, and he does. So to the backstretch they run with Lady Loot and Precious Tinkle 1-2. Lady Loot's a neck in front. Precious Tinkle is second just by a tight length, too. Renegade Sunset, who's 3 deep for Dela Cruz, and Renegade Sunset wants to go, and she's going to not settle down until she gets all the way up to challenge for the lead. Meanwhile, Great in Red is right there between horses, so the top four are separated by about 2 lengths. They are 5 lengths in front of Sister of the Moon, as they run past the half-mile marker, and it's still Lady Loot in front. Great in Red is going to split horses and make a big move into the far turn, and there goes Great in Red to take over the front, leaving the backstretch. She's now a half length in front of Lady Loot in second. Renegade Sunset is 3 deep in third, with Precious Tinkle now back in fourth, then 3 back to Sister of the Moon, but Great in Red made that big move leaving the backstretch, and it lands her in front. Renegade Sunset is beginning to run after her, and Sister of the Moon is moving nicely, and you better take a look at Sister of the Moon in the center of the racetrack, because she's on the move for Cabrera. Top of the stretch, and Great in Red, but Sister of the Moon catches the eye, and here she comes alongside, and we have a new leader. Sister of the Moon, a neck in front. Great in Red is second, Renegade Sunset back to third, and Sister of the Moon, a 16th out, has got it. She's 2.5 in front of Great in Red in second, Renegade Sunset third. It's Sister of the Moon in front. Sister of the Moon won by 3. Great in Red was second, Renegade Sunset third. Lady Loot finished fourth.
Sister of the Moon, much improved today at Oaklawn Park.
Much improved. Got a very well-timed ride from David Cabrera. The 3-horse, the Great in Red, kind of went for it early, tired a bit late.
Back at Belmont Park, it was the number 3 Xerenia into the winner's circle under Kendrick Carmouche. Those blinkers on and turning back in distance. She really seemed to, another one, be much improved second off the layoff.
Yeah, but she didn't show any speed early last time going a mile. She was a little bit more involved, got position. Kendrick Carmouche, a very good position rider, gets his position going forward. Terrific job by John Terranova to have this filly ready to fire second off the bench, and well placed. Sprinting, turf for 40, adds the blinkers, rewarded with a nice victory at a decent price.
Yeah, good price indeed. 5-1 she ended up going off at, and kind of that cavalry charge it seemed when they came into the stretch heading towards the wire, which you do love to see. $12.40 winner there in race number 3 at Belmont Park, as Adele Cat was 35-1. Big price there on that first-time starter, one to watch moving forward. Race number 4 is next on the agenda at Belmont. 7 furlongs on the main track for this $50,000 claiming race for 3-year-olds and upward. And Square Shooter is currently 8-5 as your favorite for Wayne Potts.
It makes a lot of sense. Runs consistently fast races. First time this horse is ever running at Belmont Park. It was nice to see Wayne Potts get a win the other day. Unfortunately, had lost 2 horses in that barn fire here at Belmont Park. But Wayne Potts proved that he belongs on the New York scene, has done a very good job. And I was talking with him, Acacia, he's going to have his main stable at Monmouth Park this summer, but he's going to keep 10, 12 horses here all summer to keep his foot in the door.
Look forward to seeing those runners this summer from that barn, as they do have the favorite coming up in the next race. When we come back, though, we'll preview some more stakes action to come, including the Elusive Quality on Saturday at Belmont Park. That was a look at Front Run the Fed coming out of the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint for Chad Brown.
Consistently versatile with 20 Grade 1 winners on every surface from 6 furlongs to 1 1/4 miles all over the world.
What a spectacular return for Charlatan.
Nashville under no stress whatsoever, winning it.
And Lady Spikespeare has gone on to win the Natalma.
All purpose, all places, all power. Speightstown.
sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
For 3 generations, the Bond Racing stable has held to a simple philosophy. If you take care of the horses, they will take care of you. That guiding principle drives every aspect of operations at the family's Songhill Farm and Racing Stables. From breeding to breaking, racing and retiring, our commitment to our horses is reflected in everything we do. Now you can join our Grade 1 winning team with racing partnerships starting as low as $3,000. Bond Racing Stables, 3 generations of thoroughbred excellence.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. We owe you some prices from the opener at Oaklawn Park. It was the much improved Sister of the Moon under David Cabrera, who got the win in race number 1.
Got just a really nice, patient ride from David Cabrera, who I've been very impressed as I watched more and more of Oaklawn this winter. Now, a rider that just very strong finisher, very patient, very position conscious. He's handled by Jose Santos Jr., who's done a terrific job for him. And, you know, like I said, the 3-horse Great in Red kind of had an opportunity to split horses down the backside and maybe moved a touch too soon, but Sister of the Moon may have just been much the best today. Finished the deal.
Another one of the shorter priced runners, Couverture, broke very slow at the beginning, but it was a big price there in Sister of the Moon. It was a $17.60 winner. Race number 2 at Oaklawn will be sprinting on the main track, $12,500 claiming race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward, which have never won 2 races. Scratch the 4, and that leaves the number 7. It's all in the notes as your 3-2 favorite.
3-2 favorite coming off of a big win from Maiden 20 back in January, facing winners for the first time.
You do also have an entry that looks pretty strong. You've got Ricardo Santana on Miss Falsetto. You've also got David Cabrera, who won the opener on Kalinke. Looks like the entry for Carl Broberg could be pretty strong, as we'll talk more about that race from Oaklawn coming up soon. But looking ahead to what's coming up this weekend, we talked a little bit about some of the stakes action at Oaklawn. We have our America's Best Racing race of the week, the Elusive Quality Stakes at Belmont Park on Saturday, April 24th. And what a salty field. This came up at 7 furlongs on the turf for 4-year-olds and upward. And these are some really nice horses we've got lining up in the starting gate.
You can make a case for almost every horse in this race. This is super competitive.
Front Run the Fed, one of 3 in here for Chad Brown, is 2-1 on the morning line. Javier Castellano going to be aboard this horse. This was back in July, his allowance win. After that, we saw him beaten just a neck behind Imprimis in the Grade 3 Turf Sprint at Kentucky Downs, and then beaten 2.5 lengths in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint after that.
And this is a horse that's 2 for 2 at the distance, and both of his wins coming at Belmont Park at the distance. So you've got to respect that, kind of a specialist for this 7 furlongs on the turf.
Another Chad Brown runner is not Chad Brown runner, Bill Mott runner, Casa Creed. Another one coming out of Grade 1 company. Junior Alvarado will be aboard this one for Lee Einseidler, co-owner of this horse as well. We last saw him out in the Kilroe Mile behind Hit the Road, where he was beaten a length and a quarter.
Length and a quarter in the Grade 1 Kilroe out at Santa Anita. It seems like 7/8 would be well within his scope. You know, we saw Lee Einseidler win the first race, opening day, Belmont Park. This horse makes a lot of sense too. He's got figures that are always good enough to be competitive here. Major player.
That was his second place finish behind Ride a Comet, 2 starts back in the tropical turf. Ride a Comet, who was off a 2-year layoff from Mark Casse and then came back and won just a couple of graded stakes in a row. Talk a little bit about that specialized 7 furlong distance. It's not a distance that you get to run very often on the turf, but we have the ability to do that here at Belmont Park.
Yeah, so one of the great things about Belmont, you know, we can run so many different distances, and 7 furlongs is a great distance. It becomes a lot of times a jockey's race. It's not a flat-out out sprint like a 6-furlong race. Sometimes the first quarter's a little bit more moderated. It's very tactical. I like to look at horses that have been successful at the distance. Certainly Front Run the Fed, 2 for 2 at it. The other horse that's a specialist at the distance is Therapist.
Loves the 7 furlongs.
Loves the 7 furlongs, loves Belmont Parks, won 5 of 10 starts here. And he's always very good off the layoff. This is a terrific addition of the elusive quality, who was a tremendous racehorse, could run turf, dirt for a while, held the track record here, I think, for a mile. Ran 7 furlongs and 120 and change here one day on the dirt. So super talented horse, and good that a race is named for him.
We'll pay tribute to him this weekend with a very salty crew going that 7 furlong distance on the turf. We'll take a quick time out. More live racing still to come after this break on America's Day at the Races, including Late Pick 5 from Belmont Park. After this, stay with us.
A Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, War of Will became a classic winner with this victory in the Preakness Stakes. This year, he added turf credentials to his resume with a determined victory in the Grade 1 Maker's Mark Mile, a winner and Grade 1 placed at 2, multiple graded stakes victor at 3, and Grade 1 winner again at 4. This son of War Front has proven his class at every level. A classic winner with a stallion's pedigree. War of Will, standing in 2021 at Claiborne Farm.
Twin Spires is the wagering home of the Kentucky Derby. And with racing at Churchill Downs back, new players can take advantage of our $200 sign-up offer right now. Simply use code GET200 to start earning your $200 new player bonus when you join Twin Spires today and bet on the best racing from the U.S. and around the globe. Plus, if you're looking for help to find a winner, check out our expert picks available in the app for every race. Twin Spires. Bet dedicated.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2, brought to you as always by Naira Bets, where you can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get started at nairabets.com or download the app today. We get ready now for race 4 at Belmont Park, 7 furlongs on the main tracks. $50,000 claiming race for 3-year-olds and upward. Square Shooter, currently the favorite for Wayne Potts, as we head down to the paddock and check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
And Acacia, these open 50s are always so much fun because you're often dealing with a pretty evenly matched field, and all of them a lot of times possessing a lot of back class. Now, I have respect for Square Shooter, and he's been running some fast races and very game efforts too. But I do think he does meet possibly a higher class field than what he has been facing as of late. And 2, I know he's won at the 7 furlongs, but looking at him physically, you know, he's a very stout individual and close-quartered. So he physically doesn't strike you as a 7 furlong horse. So coupled with the class question and the distance at a short price, I'd be willing to look elsewhere. And the main competition for him is number 3, Always Sunshine. Now, he is kind of third off of that extended layoff, but gosh, it does feel like just yesterday I was interviewing Frankie Pennington while horseback in Saratoga after Always Sunshine won the Tail of the Cat. But time flies when you're having fun, that's for sure. I wasn't in love with his last effort back at Laurel. Sometimes, though, horses, the older they get, they prefer only fast and dry tracks. So this guy has run fast over wet tracks in the past. He looks great here. He looks like the same Always Sunshine I have seen many times before, and whenever Ned Allard ships a horse up here, I always pay attention. For me, if I was just blindly picking horses on appearance, it would be Always Sunshine. He has that same forward, kind of intense energy. He's dappled head to toe. He looks strong, incredibly well conditioned. I think he's very formidable in this spot. Now, an interesting first off the claim proposition is number 5, the Sakari for Pat Reynolds, who has just been lighting things up, as we always knew he could. As he has said, you have to have the horse. You have to have horses, period, to win races. But when he gets the right horses in his barn, he is more than capable. And the Sakari is a horse who, let's face it, he's been running a lot I mean, 12 starts in 2020, and that's probably been more if we weren't dealing with a pandemic where it shut down racing for nearly 3 months, and he's already had 5 starts in 2021. But Pat claimed him back March 20th. It's been a month, and a horse that his coat never looked great. It was always long, dull. He never carried weight. Looks like Pat's got him heading the right direction. He's forward in here. He's energetic. He probably needed a little break, to say the least. So I thought an interesting claim by Pat picking up the Sakari, as we'll also take a look at one coming back off a sizable layoff in number 6, Zealous, for the Jimmy Bond barn. And a horse at the 7/8 might suit him well, at least on the comeback trail here. I have seen him off layoffs in the past, maybe look just a bit more fit, a bit more tight than what he does here. But boy, is he a big, good-looking, striking son of Tisnall, as you would come to expect. But he just is giving me some signs today that he might need to start coming back off the bench. Acacia.
Maggie, thank you. Zealous currently 8-1, potentially needing a race off the bench as he does drop into this 50,000 off the layoff. But he was certainly in good form last year, but only raced a couple of times in 2020.
Yeah, it seems like he has short, kind of condensed campaigns. He's always run well at Belmont. He's never won here. He usually wins in Saratoga, though.
That's true.
He does seem to really like Saratoga.
That's true, as we often see the Bond barn really point to Saratoga, too. I mean, they just seemed unstoppable last year during the meet. As we're taking a look at your favorite square shooter for Wayne Potts, he comes out of the Kelly Kip, where he did finish second behind the wind machine that's known as Bears Mafia.
Yeah, Bears Mafia, very game. Yeah, showed good speed that day. Here comes square shooter. Got within a half length of him, and that was as far as he got. He just held him off. They kind of ran that same separation all the way to the finish. Square shooter, though, has one going 7 furlongs. He's a bit of a closer in a race that doesn't appear to have a tremendous amount of speed, so he could be up against it slightly from a tactical standpoint.
The number 3, Always Sunshine, could potentially be forwardly placed. Love seeing Ned Allard's name in the entries and shipping in. You talk about back class. This horse certainly has back class.
Back class, and he's won a third of his starts, actually better than a third of his starts, 11 for 32 in lifetime. You know, here he is back what Maggie talked about, and, you know, such a long time ago, right? Saratoga 2 years ago, but beating a very good group of horses, shipping in. I worry about the 7 furlongs for him. I just wonder if, you know, he wouldn't be better at 6. Today's race is 7, but he could have a big advantage from a pace standpoint. He could make a very easy lead here potentially.
Ran in the Breeders' Cup Sprint back in 2018 at Churchill Downs behind Roy H. and Whitmore, Imperial Hint, and just some of the horses that he's faced. As you look through his past performances, Jose Ortiz going to be aboard this one. He's actually ridden this horse, too, in the past in the Grade 3 Fall Highway back in 2018 as well.
And there he is talking to trainer Ed Allard, who wanted to be a jockey so badly when he was young. He had read that you grow when you're sleeping. So he tried to put his bed where the headboard was shorter, and it would stunt his growth or keep him from being able to grow during his sleep. It obviously didn't work.
No. He tried, though. Props for the effort. But he's done quite well as a trainer. There's a look at Square Shooter. I thought some interesting things Maggie had to say about the 5, the Sakari. Pat Reynolds, of course, had a stakes win this past weekend at Aqueduct with Shaker Shack. He's got this one off the claim, and looks like this horse is doing well.
You know, Pat Reynolds has always been a trainer that knew how to win. Gets horses good, wins with them, won stakes over the years with horses he claimed. And I think he's at a stage of his life, stage of his training career, where he doesn't have the numbers, but he only runs them when he thinks they can win. They're competitive. And that's witnessed by the fact that he's only started 7 horses this year with 4 victories.
Yeah, that's pretty good percentages that he can boast.
57%? Yeah.
Pretty good percentages that he can boast. This one, first off the claim, freshened up a little bit since the end of March when that was his last start. Pretty good. 6-1 right now on the board. And sometimes, as Maggie kind of talked about it, these open 50 where you've got some horses that are pretty evenly matched and have that back class, some of them are going to be older, too, and have a lot of starts under their belt. So that's where kind of looking for a horse that's healthy and happy is really important, too.
Well, you know, we can equate it to human athletes. You know, they have talent. At times, they're at their prime. They're better, but you can still have the flashes of the brilliance of when they were in their prime if they're feeling good on the right day.
See if that could be the case for some of the horses in here. The number 2 Clench is taking some attention for Antonio Arriaga. Kendrick Carmouche looking for another win on the card today. This one comes out of the Peeping Tom.
Oh, Clench, Antonio Arriaga, all of his horses look good. Clench is 3 for 3 at Belmont Park.
Loves Belmont Park. Don't we all, though? Here's the number 1 promo code.
Returns as a first-time gelding, stepping up in class off of poor efforts. See if the gelding really turns him around, because it's going to have to.
He's a big price on the board. There's that number 2 Clench we were just talking about.
Clench loves Belmont, 3 for 3. I agree, don't we all? Gets that patented Kendrick Carmouche. Leave me alone. I want to be off with my horse.
Was actually a reclaim for Antonio Arriaga and the players group as well. Here's number 3, Always Sunshine.
Always Sunshine, knows how to win, 11 victories. Really should get an easy lead here, I believe.
The 4 Square Shooter. Now second choice at 3 to 1.
Has run some very good races. 7/8 certainly well within his scope. Major player.
Here's the 5, the Sakari. That one first off the claim for Pat Reynolds.
Have to respect Pat Reynolds off the claim and the fact that everything he's been putting on the track has been performing.
Off the layoff, here's the 6, Zealous.
Zealous from Top Horseman, Jimmy Bond. But a horse that usually shines in the summer, and particularly at Saratoga.
Looked like he was practicing for a dressage career there.
It really did. It looked like that.
Here's the number 7, Fed Funds.
Fed Funds should get a good trip. 7 furlongs should do him well, and he should be stalking from the outside.
That's the field for race number 4. Fed Funds does have Irad Ortiz. 4 to 1 on Irad Ortiz right now, who already does have a win on today's card. As we turn the page to Oaklawn Park, getting ready for race number 2. Again, this is 6 furlongs on the main track. Everybody looking for the second win of their career, 12,500 as we get ready for the post parade. We do have an entry again with common ownership. It looks like 1A will kick things off here with Miss Falsetto.
Yeah, Miss Falsetto, well drawn outside. Ricardo Santana stays. Would have to improve on numbers.
Carl Broberg, the trainer for both of these as well. But again, you do get coupled entries with a common ownership. The plain one was Kalinke, but here's the number 2, Some Would Say.
Some would say showed good speed going longer, turns back in distance, gets the rail, would have to improve.
Here's the 3, Western Attire, a big price.
Yeah, another horse that just doesn't seem quite fast enough.
Turning back in distance as well, and another big price on the board. Scratch the 4. Here's the 5, Sing Along Susie.
Ran some good races at Laurel, caught slop first time at Oaklawn. Probably better for the fast track, but would have to improve.
Number 6, Morak, turns back in distance.
I kind of thought this horse was interesting on the turn back. I think sometimes you get that distance race in him, puts more foundation, helps him run a more competitive 6 furlongs.
And the number 7, It's All in the Notes, who had that win last time out.
Yeah, huge win for Maiden 20, and if runs back the same kind of figure will be very tough, but it's a different dynamic going against winners for the first time.
And here's the plain one, Kalinke, who will wrap up the post parade.
Well, out of the Carl Broberg entry, this is the one I actually prefer. I think this horse has run consistently well enough. I think there's enough speed to set up this horse's late close, and David Cabrera has continued to impress me.
Back to Belmont Park. We'll talk more about the second at Oaklawn momentarily, but the number 7, Fed Funds, as mentioned, that was where we left off. For more on this horse, let's go trackside and check in with Maggie.
Yeah, and he's coming off a bit of a 3-month layoff here, Acacia, and a horse that kind of, when I've seen him pre-race, when he's a little bit more engaged and a little bit more on the muscles, he tends to run his better races. He was fairly relaxed today, coming back off that little bit of a break. He is very fit, though. He's really well conditioned physically, which is something you come to expect with Horacio De Paz. But Acacia, outside of the 1, I could see from the 2 to the 7 winning this race, and I'm opting for a bigger price. So I do think 2 to 1 on Always Sunshine is what the line should be as they're heading into the gate.
Maggie, thank you. Yeah, she's right. And that is what makes it fun when you have a lot of horses that look like they could be effective in this spot.
Well, if you have a strong opinion, you're going to get some value because it is so competitive.
Always Sunshine. Let's see if he can take them wire to wire, as we do have some sunshine on opening day at Belmont Park. That 9-year-old by West Acre, Florida bred, in fact, as he has run in some big races. They are loading in for race number 4 here at Belmont Park on the main track, going 7 furlongs in a contentious field. And we send it up to track announcer John Embriel with the call.
They're all in. And they're off. From mid-pack, it is Always Sunshine going for the lead. And at the inside, it's Clench running in second. Square Shooter, the gray, is next in third. And down at the rail is Promo Code, who is running in fourth. On the outside is Fed Funds next in fifth. Then the Sakari and Zealous. As they race up the backstretch, Always Sunshine leads by a length. Clench down on the inside, and Square Shooter is right there through an opening quarter mile, 23 and 3/5 seconds. It's Always Sunshine who now gets clear by 2 lengths. Square Shooter and Clench, they are heads apart, second and third. Then it is the Sakari who's in between horses running in fourth. Fed Funds on the outside in fifth. Promo Code has dropped back. The trailer is Zealous. The leader is Always Sunshine. Ran the half in 46 and 4/5 seconds. Always Sunshine by almost 3. Square Shooter is second by 4 lengths. And Clench down towards the rail is third, followed by the Sakari and Fed Funds. They passed the 3/16 pole. Always Sunshine has led right from the start, has a 3-length lead. Square Shooter giving chase in second, then the Sakari and Clench. And Always Sunshine has it wrapped up here. Always Sunshine with a front-running victory. Square Shooter was second, then Clench and the Sakari to round out the superfecta.
Always Sunshine takes them gate to wire. The 9-year-old wins his 12th race.
What a nice horse. Over $700,000 now in career earnings. He looked like he had a pace advantage, a tactical advantage, because he appeared to be the only speed in the race, and it certainly played out that way at Acacia. He got so comfortable when he hit the lead. His ears were up. For a horse with his kind of speed to go 23 and change the first quarter, basically school is out.
Absolutely. And he's seen a thing or two on the racetrack now as a 9-year-old. He knows what he has to do when he goes out there.
Total professional. Broke well, made the lead, ears went up. Probably looked back at Jose Ortiz like, don't worry, we got this.
We got this covered. Jose Ortiz, winner of the riding title at the Aqueduct Spring Meet, and that has to feel good too when you go over to Belmont Park and you keep that momentum going.
Yeah, want to keep that momentum going, set themselves up really well for a big Belmont with that really strong Aqueduct Spring stand.
Back at Oaklawn Park, race number 2 is our next order of business. We did see the horses in the post parade, and currently the number 6, Morak, is now the favorite at 8-5. This horse taking a lot of money on the turn back and distance.
I think this horse makes a lot of sense. I like horses that have that distance race. I just think it puts foundation in them. This is a horse that's capable of getting forward position, and with the mile and a 16th under his belt, her belt, excuse me, should give her the air to be able to get to kind of follow through, finish the deal.
You have the entry both for Carl Broberg. He's got Ricardo Santana on one and David Cabrera on the other, so certainly comes in with a strong hand. Kaliniki is the plain one. First off the claim, in the money last time out, I was interested at Oaklawn Park. Carl Broberg is 20% no matter what kind of variation you put on that kind of stat. Just consistently seems to do well with horses that he picks up that are already in good form.
Yeah, very consistent. Claimed the horse for 12.5, runs the horse back for 12.5. Comes from a good barn. Phil D'Amato does a terrific job. But I thought this one made the most sense to me. Running a very competitive race last time. Had to kind of wait in traffic just a little bit. Don't think it cost the horse the race, but could have been a bit closer with a smoother journey.
Now, you do have this 5-year-old mare who's already had 14 starts, and you have the 7, It's All in the Notes, who's a 4-year-old, has only raced 5 times and just won last time out. So she is going to spot some seasonings with some of the others in this field.
She is, but you can't deny how good her last race was. Now, that was against Maiden 20 Company. Sometimes when you dominate a field, horses kind of outrun themselves.
She won by 5 lengths that day. That was back at the end of January, so she's in off a bit of a freshening today. Let's see if she can make it 2 in a row as we send it up to track announcer Vic Stauffer with the call of the second at Oaklawn Park.
They're at the post. They're off. Morak was shuffled back at the start. She's last early. Some would say in Sing Along Susie, Western Attire, and It's All in the Notes with Ms. Falsetto to the outside. Kaliniki away second last, and Morak is now on the move. She's about to go into 5th. So up the backstretch with It's All in the Notes, and some would say ahead in front. It's All in the Notes is second by about 2 lengths to Ms. Falsetto, Sing Along Susie, and Morak has had a terrible time of it. Now she has to check between horses and 4 from the front. Then it's 2 lengths further back to Western Attire, and the trailer is Kaliniki, and 2 of them are match racing around the far turn. It's All in the Notes, and some would say It's All in the Notes is a neck in front. Now, Sing Along Susie and Ms. Falsetto are on the move together, and these 4 are across the track. Morak is 5th with 4 lengths to make up, top of the stretch, and here's Ms. Falsetto outside of It's All in the Notes. These 2 will match strides with Sing Along Susie between horses. 3 of them to the final 16th. Morak's 4th, but 3 behind. It's All in the Notes. Sing Along Susie. Ms. Falsetto to the outside. Sing Along Susie half ahead in front. It's All in the Notes. Battles on. It's All in the Notes. Counter punches. It's All in the Notes. It's All in the Notes. Beat Sing Along Susie. Ms. Falsetto was 3rd. Morak finished 4th.
It's All in the Notes. Clearly a good claim for Chris Hartman. She's in very good form right now.
Very good form and showed a lot of gameness. Got hooked in a strong battle here, was past mid-stretch, kept coming back, battled on, and got the money first time against winners. Second good effort in a row.
And you have It's All in the Notes, Sing Along Susie, and Miss Falsetto in the top 3. How did we miss that?
Musical trifecta.
It was so easy. It was so easy. I'm stepping aside for now. We'll be back downstairs reporting later. I'm going to go get a few extra layers on, but no worries. Greg Wolf coming up on the set to take you the rest of the way. Richie sticking around. And on this show, we'll talk about the Kentucky Oaks. There's a look at Malathot, the very talented Todd Pletcher trainee, who will likely be one of the shorter price fillies heading into that Kentucky Oaks starting gate.
The ultimate accolade for a racehorse is to be named Horse of the Year. To be enshrined to the Hall of Fame is to achieve immortality. As a stallion, genetic immortality is defined in 2 words: breed shaper, plain and simple. 2-time Horse of the Year and Hall of Fame inductee, Curlin, is just that. Breed shaper, Curlin, the classic sire.
Nobody wants to fall into a safety net, but when adversity or hardship presents itself, it beats the alternative. Since 1943, the Jockey Club Safety Net Foundation has been serving those individuals and families in need across every facet of the thoroughbred industry. Help us continue to be the safety net and catch those most in need. Visit tjcfoundation.org to learn more.
Spun to Run. In the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, he defeated a loaded field that included multiple Grade 1 winners Omaha Beach and Improbable. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more. And he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, Breeders' Cup champion, Spun to Run, new for 2021, standing at Gainesway.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Welcome back. You're watching America's Day at the Races. Well, today's fourth race, they went to the old classy veteran, always sunshine, and pleased to be joined by his trainer, Ned Allard. And, you know, Ned, he was coming back off a kind of a subpar effort down at Laurel over a sloppy track. But it seems as though whenever you bring your horses up here to New York, they are ready to run.
Well, New York has always been one of my favorite spots, and this has certainly been one of my favorite horses. And as a 9-year-old, I can't get as many races out of him as I used to, but the ones that, when he runs well, he runs well.
Well, his record kind of speaks for himself. Now he's a 12-time winner out of 33 starts. But for you, what has made him so special to you?
I think any horse that sticks around as long as he does and continues to race at the level that he does, you've got to be tickled pink with that kind of horse.
And a stakes winner to boot. So do you just kind of pick his spots sparingly in what he seems to be telling you in the morning?
Yeah, he needs a little more time in between races, but time will tell where we go with him next. But I thought he did that pretty easily.
Very. Ears pricked, and he certainly looked really good out there strutting his stuff today, so many congratulations.
Even the rider seemed to be a little impressed with him.
Let me tell you, it takes a lot to impress Jose now. So congratulations, Ned. But guys, always sunshine, getting back to that class that he's had. And it's so cool when you have 9-year-olds sticking it out and just so happy to come over and do their job. That's what he did today.
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, 9 years old, 12-time winner. This horse just a nose for the wire in that time off. He was off from August 19 until January of 2021. He hasn't missed a beat.
No, and was very comfortable winning there. You saw his ears coming up as they came to the wire. Paid $660 as the lone speed and just got to control the race from the front end.
3-4-2 finish. We'll move on, set up the fifth in a moment. First, back to Oaklawn. And here's the stretch of the race right before I came on.
It's all in the notes. Very game. Was hooked from the outside. Looked like she was passed by the 5 Sing-Along Susie. Maybe got ahead in front, but she battled back gamely. And second start for Chris Hartman. Second victory. And I like when a horse shows the ability to battle like that and come out on the front end of it.
$6 for the win. Sing-Along Susie, Ms. Falsetto complete that trifecta that comes back. Wow, $133. 2 over 6 over 2 in that 7-5 1A finish. Greg Wolf with you here, stepping in for Acacia Courtney. Mig continues along. I get Mig for a little bit, and then Andy Serling going to be joining me on the desk later on this afternoon. Opening day of this Belmont Park meet as we shift over to Elmont, New York. Close to $17 million in purses in terms of stakes races at this meet alone as we get set for this next 48 days of action.
Such an exciting time of year to have the quality of racing that we've got on tap. And Belmont's such a great racetrack for horses and horsemen. Horses seem to get fairer or easier trips here because of the wide expanse of Belmont Park.
We'll get into the next one coming up here in just a moment. First, we're going to talk Kentucky Oaks. Getting close to the 2 big races, April 30th, that Friday, Oaks Day. And Todd Pletcher has a filly who just does not seem to want to or know how to lose, at least to this point. Mallow thought $1 Million Daughter of Curlin, and John Velasquez, he's going to be back aboard on Oaks Day.
Yeah, Johnny has ridden her to some of her victories, as has Joel Rosario. What I like about this filly is she just finds ways to win, and that's what top horses do. When it looks like they can't win, they get there. They figured out how to win. She did it in the mud last fall in the Demoiselle. Even here, she runs down a loose on the lead horse, has a nose for the wire.
Off a 119-day layoff in that race.
Absolutely. And now we're watching her train at Churchill Downs in her gallop. High energy, looks terrific. Todd Pletcher's horses kind of gallop in that middle range. They don't gallop them too slow, too cramped up. They don't let them kind of free gallop. They get collected, but nice energy, nice bounce to her step. Look like she's handling the Churchill Downs strip very well. She's a winner. You've got to respect winners.
The Demoiselle before that Ashland, it was the end of her 2-year-old campaign. I mean, she was beating that race. There was no chance she's going to win. Somehow she found a way.
Well, that's what great horses do, or really good horses do. They will themselves. They figure out ways to. They don't come up with excuses on why they lost. they find ways to win. She was completely spinning her wheels in that Demoiselle, was never looking comfortable, still got her nose on the line first.
We'll see if she can get it done and keep that perfect record intact in the Oaks. It was Rosario in the Ashland as we take a look at the Oaks point list, but Velasquez was out west to ride Medina Spirit, among other commitments. He was actually, they were entered, and she was supposed to run in that Gulfstream Park Oaks, but she wasn't entered due to that moratorium on the Shadwell runners with the passing of Sheikh Hamdan. So Pletcher puts his main man, Velasquez, back aboard. Shirts results, travel column, they're up there at the top of the list, but Malathaat's right there.
Absolutely. Malathaat is a major, major contender here. He goes from Rosario, a future Hall of Famer, to John Velasquez, a current Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and Clairiere right in that mix as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very quality-laden field, and it's going to be about who gets the 1 1/8 and who gets the right trip.
Yeah. Opening day coverage continues here at Belmont. We have opening day coverage at Belmont on Saturday. It is going to be a long afternoon. We hope you're ready for it. Saturday night, under the lights in Louisville, April 24th. We have live coverage all day long here in New York, all day long and all night long under the lights in Louisville. And you'll see it all on Fox Sports 2.
Yeah, terrific cards of racing all day, all night. I'm glad our bosses took into account that I generally go to bed at 9 o'clock.
So you're going to get off early.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately for you, you're on later. I'm on earlier.
I'm going to be here all night. I love racing under the lights. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I know that some of the trainers don't love it because they got to deal with being up so early in the morning, but it'll be fun to get a taste of it. 5th at Belmont as we continue along here on this opening day card. In Elmont, New York, 6 furlongs on the turf. Start of the late pick 4. Allowance optional claiming field and the return of Maxwell Esquire for Christophe Clement with more. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, the talented New York bred returns here, as well as some other horses who we'll get to in a moment. But Maxwell Esquire, he comes back with the same disposition, the same physicality that before the layoff as a 3-year-old. And he is just kind of like, he's just all racehorse. He comes in here focused. He's ready to do his job. It's good to see Christophe Clement back here in New York as well. Side note there. But it also appears as though there is some speed, at least on paper. You never know if that's going to materialize, but it should set things up quite nicely for him. But not a horse that is such a deep closer, where I think coming back fresh, given his keen type of demeanor here, that he's going to be too far out of it and leave himself too much to do. Number 2, Fast Getaway. He is one of those speed horses. He is sharp in here. He looks strong. I mean, Linda has him really well conditioned behind the saddle. He looks like he's ready to go from that sense. I just wish he looked better. He kind of, since they put the tack on, he's a little bit girthy, and girthy meaning when the girth and the overgirth go on, they just kind of get a little bit cramped up, and it takes him a little bit of walking to kind of come out of that. Not in love with him. He could run well here. He's going to possibly have to deal with other horses up front with him, and I just feel as though he needs to start coming back off the bench. Now, one that I don't actually is number 7, Battle Station, a horse who ran well, including winning the Lucky Coin last year. Got a great ride by Kendrick Carmouche that day, but comes back here for Rob Atras, and a horse who's always done well in the feed tub, so to speak, always carries his weight favorably. Actually looks very fit. You know, one that I was concerned and thinking, well, maybe, you know, because he is that heavier body type, he might want to start. I don't see it here. Looks as though Rob has him ready to go coming off that layoff. So Battle Station, he has a back class. He's also tactical enough to be very effective in this spot, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, Rob Atras said he was able to get about 5 or 6 really decent works in him, including the last 2 that he felt were really good. So he believes that he's going to be fit enough to get it done today. We'll see off the bench.
Oh, Rob Atras has been doing a terrific job. Well posted, you know, outside in a race laden with speed. He's quick, but he's not forced into the race.
5-1 on Battle Station, but this race goes through. This guy right here, 4-year-old son of Discreet Cat, Maxwell Esquire. Off since late November. This was October the 16th. He comes from pretty far back. He came from 9.5 lengths out of it to win by 2 1/4 on this day on a yielding turf course as well.
Yeah, and it really appears that this race falls into his wheelhouse as far as tactics. He's a horse that wants to close, and I see every horse in this race having some modicum of speed. This is the only true closer in the race.
And Christophe Clement said he brought him in from Ocala about a month ago, hopes that he's tight enough for today. He's been off the bench before. That was his comeback at Belmont last June. He ran third in an entry-level allowance in a tough spot. Domestic Spending wound up winning that race.
Yeah, very tough spot. Every horse I look at, they do their best running when they're involved early. He's the only one that likes to come from off the pace. I think we're going to see a faster pace than, sometimes we get in these turf races at Belmont Park. I think it really just tactically falls into Maxwell Esquire's wheelhouse.
So at that point, too, I mean, with his running style, he's going to have to, you would think, likely swing wide in the stretch unless something happens to open up, but he'll have to find a trip. And at 1-2, that's an awfully short price to take.
But he's got Irad Ortiz Jr., who's been riding so well, winning it better than 28% on the year. I hate to pick favorites. I have a really hard time seeing past this horse.
He's got a big edge in terms of the numbers he typically runs in this spot, and that's why you're seeing him on the board at 1-2. Meanwhile, Linda Rice sending out Fast Getaway, and there's a look at what Linda does in these type of situations with this horse. 180-plus day layoff in turf sprints over the last 5 years, winning at 11%, just 4 winners from 36 starters.
Yeah, an interesting stat. Obviously, Linda's been having so much success, maybe not one of her strongest stats. Chester and Mary Broman, owner, breeder of Fast Getaway, prolific breeders in the state of New York, if not the leading breeder every year, amongst the leaders.
And this, though, is a horse, the 2, who's won off the bench before. Won off a layoff from November to June last year, won by 3 lengths, going 6 furlongs on the turf at Belmont.
And he is tactical. He's not a horse that needs the lead, but he is drawn inside, and he should be involved.
4-1 for him. As you mentioned, some very quick runners in this race, including this guy who used to be really, really fast. It's 5-year-old Quirky. Trevor McCarthy rides today.
Yeah, and this horse has 5 furlong speed. Now, I know it's only 220 yards more, another furlong, another eighth of a mile to go 6 furlongs. But Tampa Bay Downs, look at the fractions of those races. Sub 21 quarters his last few starts. He's coming out of races that they're flying early. From the rail, Trevor McCarthy has shown to be an aggressive rider. I got a feeling he plays out to be the speed of the speed.
Yeah, we got a horse in here, too, like Aristocratic, the 5. He's never hit the board on the grass. But you go back and look at some of his turf starts. He has one that, first of all, he's really quick no matter what surface, especially on dirt. But quick on the turf. He was 4th in a 5-furlong turf sprint at Del Mar against Eddie Haskell, who wound up being a graded stakes winner on the turf, and he's only beat a length of 3/4 to him.
I always smile when I hear that horse's name, Eddie Haskell. But Aristocratic has one way to go also. He may not be as naturally fast as the one Quirky, but he's got speed. He's also a horse that was down at the rail at Aqueduct in his first start off the layoff when he was
there. He is, by the way.
Yeah, 3rd beaten 23 lengths. And he's a horse that makes a little bit of a noise, like a little bit of a rasp. So those are the kind of horses you can't get in their mouth. You have to throw them in their head and leave them to their own devices.
22-1 on this speedster who really just has one way of going. He's never won on the turf, though. Again, he's never even hit the board on the grass, but getting back to it after a long time away from the lawn.
Yeah, and he does have one decent figure on the lawn, but he's going to have to show me here.
I love this shot. Back at Belmont, it's been a while. But what was it like for you when you were walking out of that tunnel into the paddock at Belmont?
It's such a feeling of history here. You feel like you're on somewhat of hallowed ground. That ivy that grows up the side of this beautiful brick building, and you come out and the paddock is so iconic, and that tree that kind of represents Belmont Park. I always would look at that tree in the middle of the paddock and wonder how many champions has that tree seen over the years.
It's an incredible setting. There it is. Unmistakable. When you see that, you know exactly you're looking at Belmont Park. And we're good to be home here. First of 48 days coming up at this meet. Biggest overnight purses they have ever seen at this meet.
Yeah, fantastic. It's just a great race meeting. The turf racing's fabulous because we have 2 turf courses that are wide, they're big. Basically, you run pretty much a one-turn mile on the turf here. Most racetracks can't accommodate that. Woodbine, I think, is the only other racetrack in North America that can. maybe Kentucky Downs as well, kind of an odd configuration there. But, and there, you know, you've got the hockey arena being worked on. Shouldn't be too long before the Islanders call Belmont Park home. They should take some of that ivy and transplant some of it, let it grow up the building of the arena. I think that would look actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I got we'd been away for so long, and driving in, got to see this arena that's near completion. It is. I didn't realize, you know, how much ground there is here at Belmont in that parking lot too, but I didn't realize it was that big.
Yeah, it really was. It's changed so much since we last saw it. We didn't see the steady progress. We saw it now. I cannot wait to go to a hockey game there when they play the New York Rangers.
And you'll be pulling for?
The New York Rangers.
Oh, wow. Post parade here coming up in a minute. 5 minutes from a start as you take a look at Corky and Maxwell Esquire. Hoping to get that pace up front. Seems almost impossible that he'll not get it. Is he ready to go off the bench? That's the real question with him. And there's a look at that Islanders arena.
I'm sure somebody here at Belmont's got like an in for tickets, right? Like we'll finish a show and walk over and catch a game.
I'm counting on you to make that happen.
I have no pull left here.
Day at the races, and then, yeah, go taking a hockey game afterwards. That's a pretty fun day.
Perfect. That's a perfect daily double. It used to be years ago you'd spend the day at the races here and then run over to Roosevelt for trotters at night. This is a better double to me. Horses and hockey, it's all me.
They're going to come up with, horses and hockey promotion somehow. That'll be good. Late pick 4 coming up. There's Maggie, always at work.
A lot of walking between the Paddock and the winter
exercise here at Belmont, no question.
Absolutely. Burn them calories. I love the hockey commentary on MSG. Steve Valiquette, Bill Pito, they do an amazing job of really explaining the game. I've been a hockey fan my whole life, but they really put it in a different perspective for me.
If you weren't doing this, is that what you want to be doing?
I would love, analyst for hockey. I have no credibility. I never played the game, but Steve Valiquette was a great goalie, and when he explains angles and how goalies come out to take angles and, you know, quality shots, it really takes the commentary to another level.
I feel you do the same for what we're showing, Mig.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. I love the game.
86,000 plus in this pick 4 pool coming up, and here they come through that tunnel. We're going to see Corky first, one of many speeds. If you had to look at this race and see, is there a speed of the speed? To you, who is it?
I'm going to go with the one, Corky, particularly from the inside post. And Trevor McCarthy is a rider that's very thoughtful, and he understands when you have the inside, you've got to try to protect your inside position.
Well, 8-1 on Trevor's mount here, the 5-year-old son of the Factor, who has a lot of seconds, 4 seconds and 6 starts at this racetrack.
Yeah, he runs hard most of the time. 3 starts at the distance with a win in 2 seconds. He'll be involved early.
Fast getaway. This is the one coming in off the bench for Linda Rice. We showed you her numbers with those turf sprinters off the bench. Jose Ortiz rides.
This son of Into Mischief, 6-year-old, kind of a big, strong horse. Sometimes horses like that need a race to really get to their best form, but he's definitely a game, honest horse.
Big favorite, Maxwell Esquire. This is 4-year-old debut. He's been off since late November for Christophe Clement.
True closer in a race that appears laden with speed.
Aristocratic, more speed here, and he's a lightning bolt. Imladati, Luis Cardenas back on the turf for the first time in a while.
A horse that has speed and should keep things honest up front.
And Smooth B, 16-1. It's a horse who was actually second in a stake at Parks against a horse who was just third in the Shaker Town, the Critical Way.
Yeah, so he's faced some very, good turf sprinters. This horse has never won on the turf, but he's also quick enough to be involved.
And Battle Station, a horse who's hoping to get a stalking trip in here off the bench, Kendra Carmouche aboard.
Should get that stalking trip, particularly with the luxury of the outside post, and we see that patented warm-up that I like to see. Kendra Carmouche very rarely stays with the lead horse. He leaves them and gets a horse up on their feet and really warms them up.
Program brought to you by Run Happy. Champion sprinter, never lost in his career while sprinting and did it all while racing medication-free. Now standing at Claiborne Farm and off to a tremendous year as a second crop sire. Back at Oaklawn in Hot Springs, Arkansas, race 3. Current odds, 2-turn mile in this allowance optional claiming field. Bodie's Maker. He's won 3 of his last 5 starts, 6-time winner overall.
razor sharp form, coming off 2 victories. Last time at the mile distance and gets that good inside draw.
Trained by Norm McKnight and Ramon Vasquez rides. Here's X-Session for Steve Asmussen.
Steve Asmussen, 157 away from replacing Dale Baird as the all-time leading trainer in number of wins.
Of course, was in the Preakness against Swiss Skydiver last year. Ran on the Rebel against Nadal. Nifty Chris Hartman.
Chris Hartman doing a great job. Won the last race off the claim. Horse is stretching back out in distance.
Eagerly, 10-1, comes off a maiden claiming win on the grass.
Yeah, this is a little bit tougher here. He's facing horses that are multiple winners here.
Rare form, second choice on the board. He's 5-2 right now, just claimed by Cipriano Contreras off of one of the best claiming trainers in the game, Robertino Diodoro.
Yeah, that's the thing, going from a terrific barn, but this horse was so resolute last time, just ground out the win.
He's quick, too. He doesn't have to have the lead. He's won 2 of his last 3. Secret Courier, this one from the Diodoro barn.
This horse should be the speed of the speed. This horse has been showing good speed sprinting. On the stretch out with David Cohen, I think this horse will be in front.
4-time winner, 5-year-old son of Painter. With more in this group, let's go to Nancy Holthus.
Thanks so much, Greg. Well, one to kind of look out for here is from the barn of Cipriano Contreras and a new face in the jockey colony this meet in Francisco Arrieta. Rare form actually debuts for the barn off the $30,000 claim, and the win after pressing the pace at the mile distance. He stopped the clock in 1:38 flat. Now, 3 of his 5 career wins have been at today's mile distance, and he certainly has some back classes. He was graded stakes placed at the mile earlier in his career. Now, he does make the third start off the break where Sippy is a very impressive 32%, but it's been a very productive trainer-jockey duo already at the meet. They are together a 34% win clip, but in the money, they have been 75% in just their 44 starts together.
That's pretty solid from those connections. Nancy, thank you for that. We'll get back to Oaklawn in a moment. We return to Belmont to see if Maxwell Esquire can get it done here at 1-2 on the board. Meanwhile, talked about all that speed in the race. Quirky among that group of speedsters from the rail. With more, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
It's quite evident that the horses, the main horses that are coming in off breaks, you can see that they have layoffs to contend with, maybe not so much with Maxwell Esquire, but Corky, who has been running in South Florida throughout the winter, well, it definitely shows that he's been running in South Florida throughout the winter. He's very, very, very fit, actually, more than what I've seen from him in the past, to be honest. And I've always thought that the 7 furlongs was probably his optimal trip, but I don't think you can necessarily say that conclusively based upon his form. He has been effective, whether it be 5 or out at the 7. I do think he likes it here at Belmont Park because he's a little bit of a longer horse, so being able to kind of unravel that stride works well for him. At 10-1, he's worth every play underneath, as another long shot in here, actually the second longest on the board is the PA bred, number 6, Smooth B. Doesn't look like a 21-1 shot. Looks fantastic here. I mean, well conditioned, has a 1 start coming back in the slop at Parks. I've always thought he has a bit of a turf hoof. He's run well, Greg, as you mentioned, against some talented turf runners. He's going to have to find 2 lengths on Battle Station last time they met, but still won, again, at a big price to use underneath. That made an excellent impression.
All right, so some things to like there with a big price to the outside. Maggie, thanks. Big favorite, the 3, Maxwell Esquire.
Kind of interesting, the placement of the gate. They have the starting gate kind of started from the outside, almost with a lot of empty space to the inside. I've never seen it quite set that far out.
John Imbrial with the call here on opening day, this 5th from Belmont, and the start of this late pick 4.
They're all in. And the rough. Fast Getaway and Quirky. Those two go out for the early lead with Aristocratic racing in 3rd. And on the outside is Battle Station next in 4th. Maxwell Esquire, the big favorite, is at the back of the pack along with Smooth B. As they move along here, on the inside it's Quirky, and on the outside it is Aristocratic. Aristocratic now takes the lead from Quirky. Battle Station is next in third, and Fast Getaway is back running in fourth. The quarter went in 23 seconds. Smooth B is in fifth, and the trailer is Maxwell Esquire, about 6 lengths from the front. And up front, it is Aristocratic, big long shot. Oh, pulled up there. Being pulled up there is the 2. Well, he took a bad step. Fast Getaway took a bad step there towards the back of the pack. The field is now coming into the stretch. It is Quirky challenged now on the outside by Battle Station. It's Quirky and Battle Station, and the two of them are right together as they come down for the 8th pole. Moving into third is Maxwell Esquire, and he's kicking in late here. Here comes Maxwell Esquire up on the outside to gain a narrow lead. Quirky towards the rail. Maxwell Esquire wins his seasonal debut. Quirky was second, then Battle Station, and a big break back to Smooth B in fourth.
Well, Maxwell Esquire with the win here. We saw Fast Getaway pull up, and as we're into the stretch, we saw Quirky have to do some readjustment because there was something out on the turf course. We'll try and get more information in a minute. Let's go to Maggie.
Actually, Fast Getaway, he just looked to completely lose his action, Greg. We saw him take several strange steps, but he's loose now, and he's trying, the outriders are trying to apprehend him. From what I saw, I'm not a veterinarian, obviously, but he's moving okay as he is trying to circle back here to make it back. They had the temporary rail up, so hopefully they'll get him in a second here. Unfortunately, unseating his rider, Jose Ortiz, but it was a strange race, as you said. And then there's something on the turf course. Got to give it to Quirky, though. He battled long and hard, and Maxwell Esquire needed every bit of the stretch to get the win today.
Keep an eye on the horse in the lead here. There's something on the turf course. You see, you have to kind of pull out around it. You see him right there? Something either blew onto the turf course because of the windy conditions, but that was something that you saw Trevor McCarthy actually had to steer around it. You can't take a chance of your horse jumping it or tripping over it. Maxwell Esquire was best, kind of ran into Fast Getaway when that one lost his action, and then Jose Ortiz bailed out. He wasn't unseated. He actually jumped off after he was towards the outside.
Off him in second. Nifty is sharp third. Bodie's Maker is at the rail. Then comes Eagerly, and the early trailer is Accession. Rare Form is quickest at the clubhouse turn and leads by a length from Secret Courier in second. A similar margin to Bodie's Maker, who's handy third at the rail, tucked in 2 from the front. Nifty is taken in hand by Kenny Tohill. He's fourth with 3.5 lengths to make up. Eagerly just outside of him, and Accession is at the rail. That's the 6 of them as they turn and run up the backstretch. No excuses today for Rare Form as he gallops along in charge. It is Rare Form, a length and a quarter in front of Secret Courier in second. Bodie's Maker is third at the rail, and he's 2 from the front. Then it's just a length to Nifty and Eagerly. Accession still trails to the half-mile poles. Finish line is the 16th pole, and Rare Form is trying to get there first. Is the rail open for Bodie's Maker? Yes, it is, and here he comes. A big move for Ramon Vasquez and Bodie's Maker to take over the lead without being asked. Bodie's Maker is the new leader around the far turn. Rare Form and Secret Courier are now second and third. 3 back to Nifty and Accession. Eagerly is the trailer, and Bodie's Maker is the leader. Secret Courier trying to go with him. Bodie's Maker at the top of the stretch, a half length in front of an all-in Secret Courier in second. Nifty is third. They straighten away, and Bodie's Maker and Secret Courier. Bodie's Maker is a length and a half in front. Secret Courier is second. Nifty is third. Bodie's Maker trying to make it 3 in a row, and Bodie's Maker goes to the wire in charge. Bodie's Maker won by 2. Secret Courier was second. Nifty third. Accession finished fourth.
Ramon Vasquez on Bodie's Maker, 3 in a row, as you heard from Vic Stauffer, and now 4 wins in his last 6 starts.
He had to move a bit early to take advantage of the fact that the rail was vacated by the 5-horse Rare Form, who was on the lead, but he continued on. He took that easy pass and parlayed it to victory, his 3rd in a row at this Oaklawn Park meeting.
He was 2 for his first 26. Now he's 4 for his last 6.
And a horse that used to appear to want to be second more often than win, he decided he's not camera shy anymore. He likes getting his picture taken.
Bodie's Maker, impressive with the win here in the 3rd at Oaklawn. Prices from this one coming up. We're going to say goodbye to Meg. Enjoyed getting a little bit of time with you, but Andy Sterling going to join me right after a break. We'll see you back tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Opening day Belmont coverage continues right after a short timeout. He gave the 2-year-old champion to the Derby favorite test of his life. We'll preview highly motivated in the Derby next.
The Run Happies are off and running, burning up the tracks and leaving a vapor trail down the stretch. TDN Rising Star Following C posted a huge 97 buyer, winning by nearly 6 lengths for Bob Baffert. Ranked among the top of his crop by stakes horses and winners, the Run Happy rally continues. Price for success at just $10,000. Call Bernie Sams and hook a ride on this Rising Star stallion. Eclipse champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Ironicus. This graded stakes winning millionaire defeated over 20 Grade 1 winners. A Grade 2 winner and course record setter at Saratoga. He won 3 graded stakes and was runner-up in multiple Grade 1 events. Top runners include graded stakes winner and Kentucky Derby hopeful Helium.
It's Helium in a huge effort.
The leading money earner at stud for emerging Sire of Sires distorted humor, Ironicus, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you by America's Best Racing. As I'm Maggie Wolfendale, pleased to be joined here in the winner's circle by the 5th race winning trainer, Christophe Clement. And Christophe, as we are watching the replay in front of us, an eventful race for Maxwell Esquire, but still, he proved to be best here at very short odds.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought he went well. Wasn't sure if he was 100% fit, but he was fit enough to go 6 furlongs. It's a good race. As you know, quite a few things happen in the race, but we got lucky.
Now, looking for back-to-back victories this weekend in the Elusive Quality is another talented New York-bred therapist as he is looking to make his 6-year-old bow. How's he doing?
He's doing very well. He's a fun horse. As you know, I like him. I'm a co-breeder, so I'm pretty attached to him. But he's been fun over the years, and he seems to be training well. It's a tough race. It's a very good race. Usual story, New York, always competitive. But it's fun, and we'll try our best.
It's always a story of distance with him. Is 7 furlongs his best?
Might be 7 furlong or 1 ton mile, because you get the pace to run at, and he likes that. To go back to the last race, I'm absolutely delighted because, that horse belongs to Mrs. Generasio. It's her first runner for Mrs. Generasio this year, and she's been a very, very loyal supporter of the New York bred program in the stable, so I'm absolutely delighted to win for her.
Yes, Patricia losing her husband, Frank, who they were such a team together and did so much for the New York bred program. So thank you and congratulations to you for keeping that legacy alive.
It's all about her in this case, but I'm very happy. I need to be fun, and maybe we can go in better company next time, and we'll see what happens.
Looking forward to the future for Maxwell Esquire today as he got the job done coming back here for his 4-year-old campaign to get kick-started here at Belmont, Greg.
Thanks, Maggie. Yeah, homebred for Patricia Generasio. And now the 5th win of his career and a good starting point for what could be a promising 4-year-old campaign for him.
Yeah, and Maxwell Esquire is one of those interesting turf sprinters where it doesn't really matter the pace, it doesn't matter. He just closes, and he always seems to put in that kick. He's a really nice horse.
You might recognize that voice, some of you out there. That's Andy Searling. He just joined me on the set, stepping in for Richard Migliori. Andy and I are going to take you the rest of the way on this card, and we're going to talk about some Derby Oaks contenders as well, including a horse we're going to mention now, highly motivated, who gave the 2-year-old champ, Essential Quality, the fight of his life in that bluegrass in his final Kentucky Derby prep back at Keeneland.
Yeah, highly motivated is obviously a very, very talented horse. The question has always been distance with him. He got into a situation, the bluegrass, where if he didn't go to the lead, then Essential Quality was going to waltz around the racetrack. Now, not to say highly motivated had a bad trip, because he had a very good trip in there. But I don't think he's seen as a horse that's going to be very aggressive in the Derby. I think Chad Brown feels that maybe sitting back and making one run will be more effective. And Chad Brown has had a lot of success. He haven't won, but you think about Normandy Invasion, who ran so well and finished 4th. He's had horses ready to run their best races in the Derby on their 3rd start of the year. Good Magic as well, ran second Justified.
Yeah, it's tough. Chad Brown said he went to the Kentucky Derby paddock that day, felt he had a great chance, and then he saw the stature of Justified. He said, oh boy, we're in trouble.
Yeah, but he ran terrific, and, you know, he got a little unlucky to draw inside from the Preakness, or it could have been a little bit different there. But listen, at the end of the day, you've still got to have the right horse, and Highly Motivated has to get a 1.25 miles as an Into Mischief. It has to be a bit of a question, but I know Chad Brown is very high on him and excited, and why shouldn't he be? He's probably no worse than 4th or 5th choice.
He worked Sunday at Keeneland, 4 furlongs, 47-1 Bullet. Here's Chad Brown on Highly Motivated.
I saw it as a really good race. I saw it as 2 of the best horses in the crop really separating themselves. I think when you look at the past performances of both the horses, you can go back and connect the dots to see they're really good horses. You know, Essential Quality is much more accomplished than our horse, but, you know, our horses really never ran a bad race. All his races are good and they're fast, so, you know, I'd be in the camp of thinking it was the strongest prep that I've seen. It's a dream of every trainer, I think, when they go out on their own, you know, no matter where you're from or where you're based, you want to aim for the Kentucky Derby. And it's something that, if you're lucky enough to win it, it's something that everybody understands, whether they're a horse racing fan or not. So it'd be a great thing to accomplish for me and my team. And the owner, Mr. Clement, has been such a strong supporter since the early days of our stable, and a huge supporter of the industry, a very generous guy within the industry as well. And, you know, I think there's a lot of deserving people on this team, so hopefully this is our year. You'll see that we don't have a large number of starters over the, I guess, 14 years or so we've been training, but we try to pick the right horses. It hasn't always worked, but like I said, we've had a couple close calls there, and I think that's a good point. We feel like we have a horse that, you know, can really fit. And, you know, we have 2 horses with the points to run, and we've chosen just to run 1. I'm going to wait with my other horse, Crowded Trade, much like we did with Cloud Computing, had the points to run that year. And he, you know, if they get started a little late, I don't think they're ready, even though they qualify. You know, I don't really want to run unless I think we have a chance to win. And we chose the one that I think has a chance to win.
So he's taking limited shots at this, and I know that makes you happy to see Cloud Computing in that Preakness win because you were there. You're part of that celebration. What a moment. But just to be in this race and to be there with a horse who is coming off the performance he is against the champ and a likely Derby favorite, got to feel pretty good.
Absolutely, and obviously Essential Quality is the horse to beat. I don't think anybody will dispute that, but I don't think Highly Motivated doesn't have a right to say, especially if Essential Quality can always get in trouble in a big field, as could any horse, but the favorite is as vulnerable as anybody, so he belongs in the race, and Chad Brown has shown, and Seth Klarman as well. They're not people that are going there just to show up to enjoy the hoopla. They're going if they feel they have a chance. They're not running both of them. Crowded Trade will probably come back in the Preakness, though the question becomes, should they be so fortunate Highly Motivated wins the Derby? What do you do with Crowded Trade? But knowing them, he might say, I'll run, I'll take a shot, so what? But I don't know.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. But, yeah, he has been remarkably consistent in his career, and that was his second start of his 3-year-old campaign. Start number 3, which can be the best off the bench, going to be coming in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, I mean, he follows a similar path in a lot of ways to Good Magic, right? Who finished 3rd in his return, as Highly Motivated did. And then he won the Bluegrass, but I don't think he ran a lot better than Highly Motivated did. So, yeah, I think he's got a chance to run his best race. We'll see if it's good enough.
6th at Belmont. Speaking of Chad Brown, he's got a couple that are going to line up in this race. Coalition Building and Higher Truth. 1.25 miles on the inner turf, maiden special weight. And there's Chad Brown's 4-year-old filly by Lemon Drop Kid, making the 4th start of her career. We'll be back.
Speightstown. Munning. Echo Town.
It's Echo Town for Joe Talamo, and Echo Town raced away.
And Echo Town is drawing away in the stretch. Echo Town wins the Allen Jerkin Stakes.
A sire line so prolific, it repeats itself. Echo Town, new to Coolmore, America.
Irad, ready to go for a ride, buddy? I'm gonna miss you, Red.
Mason Jockey Club Research Foundation provides the best equine research to treat the horses we love.
I missed you, old boy.
What constitutes a great sire? Results.
Never Surprised, looking to go wire to wire here, and Never Surprised has got it won.
Versatility.
Tis the law, he's left the others behind. Tis the law.
A foundation for the future.
Olympic runner for the lead. Venezuelan hug late. Venezuelan hug. Venezuelan hug shook free.
Constitution has it all.
Back on America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. Good to have you with us for opening day live coverage from Belmont Park. Their spring-summer meet, our program brought to you by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. We have a 1.25 miles on the inner turf coming up here in the 6th at Belmont. Maiden special weight. Chad Brown, he's got 2 fillies in this race. The bigger price of those 2, Higher Truth. With more, let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, both Chad and Christophe Clement have 2 runners in this race. And taking a look at number 5, Higher Truth in here, we'll start with her. She is a daughter of Galileo, so there's the pedigree for her to be able to get out to this 1.25 miles. A bit of a green effort first time out at Tampa. I just wish I was a little more impressed with her here. I mean, granted, I will be honest that I'm never that enthralled physically with some of the more European-bred horses. I just wish she looked a little stronger behind. She lacks a bit of a hind end, and for me, I always put a bit of value on that because that's where the engine is. So we'll see what she does. But number 2, who is your favorite, Coalition Building, she's the older 4-year-old, and she's had quite a few stops and starts in her career. She hasn't changed much. I mean, I saw her a 1.5 years ago in 2019, and she pretty much looks the same. I guess she could win here, but for me, physically, there's some bigger, better-looking fillies. As number 1, Community Adjusted for Christophe Clement, owned by Rob Masiello and Empire Racing Club. We'll be hearing from Aaron Yagoda, one of the chairmen on the Empire Racing Board. And it's a big, good-looking filly. I mean, she was last year, too, as a 2-year-old, but really kind of filling out, rounding out, dappled head to toe, looks fantastic. Love the 1.25 miles for her. I think that suits her well. She's made an excellent impression as she is second off of a layoff. And then Christophe's other horse in here, the second time starting, number 7, Spatial. I know Acacia Courtney isn't on right now, but she had told me that she had a little bit of a rough start as far as the preliminaries were concerned at Tampa. I know she unseated her jockey going onto the track. Just a little bit of greenness, but here today, she is minding her P's and Q's. She is very well behaved. She's a good-looking daughter of Warfront, and another one that, given her size and scope, I think getting to this 1.25 miles should be ideal as Christophe Clement looks for his second win on the card. But then again, Greg, so does Chad Brown.
Both these 2 trainers, Maggie, thank you, so good in turf racing, especially on this circuit. Chad with 2, Christophe with 2, as Christophe looks to go back-to-back. There's Coalition Building, 7-5 favorite for Chad Brown. Irad Ortiz Jr. gets the mount, and the comeback race came in January this year at Gulfstream. We're going to go back to 2019, though, before the layoff came at Belmont.
I think it's important to note that she's losing to Antoinette, who came back, of course, won that Saratoga Oaks last summer, and she's multiple stakes. Yeah, she's a talented runner, and I think Coalition Building ran the best race. While Antoinette was able to control, as she often does, this horse was wide, and she's really the only horse that made an effective run in here. Now, we don't know if she's still the same horse. It's a 1.5 years since then. When she came back at Gulfstream, she really did not have a good trip. She was 3 wide the whole way around the track and just never really had a fair chance to get in the race and didn't run that badly beaten 2 lengths. I'm not, going to run to endorse 6-5 or 7-5 shots in races, but in my opinion, she is overwhelmingly the horse to beat in this race.
Meanwhile, to the outside, not only do you have Clement, Chad Brown, you also have Brad Cox, in this race with this one here, Scent. Uncle Mo filly. She's 0 for 8, but she's had a lot of races where she's almost been getting there. And let's take a look at one of them.
But that's the problem, right? She even lost at 3-5 first time for Brad Cox, and she didn't run any better for Brad Cox than she did for Tom Morley. And she may be one of these horses, it doesn't matter whose barn she is, she's just a faint-hearted horse that doesn't win. To be fair, this race at Aqueduct was the only time she ever tried to wire a field, and it was going an eighth of a mile longer than this. She did ride a very good rail. She had things her own way, but she still failed to get it done. You know Kendra Carmouche is going from the outside. They have to put her on the front end. It's her best chance to win. It's just, don't you feel like two Chad Browns making, lightly raced, two Clements, lightly raced. There's so many other horses that are likely to take a step forward, and this horse, she just doesn't get it done wherever she is.
Shocked she's taking the money she is right now at 3-1.
I wonder if a little bit of it is the lone speed angle, right? I mean, she is the second choice. I was looking at multi-race bets, and I wonder if the lone speed angle is what's helping. And I have to admit, I am scared of her. I picked her second in this race. I do think she can win, but she just doesn't win.
Meanwhile, here's the other Clement filly, daughter of Summerfront. This is start number 3 for her. She came back this year at Gulfstream.
I think she is far, far more likely to win than the other Clement. I don't get spatial at all. I don't know about the distance. Her dam side says the mile and a quarter is great. The sire side Summerfront, Clement trained, was a better, shorter on the turf, a mile to a mile and eighth. I don't know if that's splitting hairs. I thought she's run fine. You look at her last race. She broke a step slow. She had a good trip, but she did have some trouble. She was blocked a little bit, and she had some trouble. She was also coming off of a 7-month layoff, Greg, so now she's second off a layoff. I think she's a major threat in this race, and it'd be nice to see the Empire Racing Club do well, especially now that they're racing in New York, where we want to have Empire Racing Club in New York.
Of course.
I teased Rob Masiala, the co-owner, last time she ran on Twitter saying, Empire Racing Club, we want to see you at Belmont. Here she is.
We're going to see a few of these runners, I believe, over the next few days.
But I mean, I just think this horse makes a lot of sense if you're looking for an alternative and should be able to work out a good trip.
She's 5-1. Every right to move forward off that comeback race at Gulfstream. This is the big sort of unknown with everybody in this field. Who's going to be able to handle this mile and a quarter?
Right. I mean, I think it's oddly enough with the 8, I guess, because the mile and 3/8 race, she's the horse that has the least question because she's run effectively. She's run her same losing race in a mile and 3/8 that she ran at her distance. But to be fair, she got a 78 buyer, the best figure she ever got. She also did it under ideal circumstances. That was the beginning of the meet when being down the inside on those fresh turf courses was a real advantage. But still, she's good enough she could win. I'm going to be surprised if somebody in here, if not somebodies, doesn't step forward. She's had her chance. This is kind of a new wave of horses, right?
And you spoke about the Empire Racing Club with part owners of the One Community Adjusted. That's a way. There's so many different ways now to get involved and sort of just get a taste of what horse ownership is like. Empire Racing Club is one of those ways.
No, I agree. I mean, I don't know all the logistics of doing it, but I know that if Aaron Yagoda is involved, it's a great thing to get involved. And I don't just say that because Aaron and I have known each other a long time. Aaron is one of the sharpest people you meet around the track. He's been somebody who's been involved in horse ownership and in buying horses at sales, in pin hooking and owning horses. And he's an incredibly knowledgeable and also about as nice a person as you'll find at the racetrack. He's so nice, he's nice to me.
That's saying something. Reduced membership right now, $400 to get involved with Empire Racing Club. And you get the community as well of being in a social group with a bunch of different people that own a horse and get to be that, realize that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, and I think
social aspect.
The social aspect, the camaraderie of the racetrack, a lot of it's been lost in a lot of ways because people watch on the internet, they're home, and we're showing the races, and we hope you're watching. This is a good way to meet people. I mean, think of how the lifetime-long friends you make at the racetrack and friends you have forever, and I agree. It's a great way to get involved in racing, learn some things, have some fun, and meet some good people.
How great is this to have this site again and the return of all the turf racing we're going to have at this meet?
Listen, it's a little chilly today, and the weather will get better this weekend, but there's nothing like getting back to Belmont Park.
It's a great feeling indeed. Here's community adjusted Christophe Clement, Manny Franco.
And we'll see. I think should be somewhat forward there from the inside position, and can she improve at a mile and a quarter, second off the layoff?
1 of 2 for Chad Brown, Coalition building the favorite.
Same situation. Now, she hasn't run in 3 months since her last start, but at least it's more recent than the prior break. I think she should like the mile and a quarter. We'll see.
Impeach Me, Natalia Lynch, daughter of Speightstown.
She couldn't win for Tom Amoss. How could she possibly win for anybody else?
I was waiting for that. Once a show, we got to get that in.
That was nice.
Firing Carroll, 36-1.
Yeah, this horse tries the turf for the first time. The dam was 0 for 1 on the grass and produced 1 foal that did no running in the turf.
Another Chad Brown runner. He only won at 32% at the Aqueduct meet that he won the title at?
Well, we'll see here. This horse ran the same race as Spatial at Tampa. I thought it had the less good of the two trips. Not that either one of them had significant trouble.
And a little rambunctious on the track now. We'll see if Jose Ortiz can get her settled down a little bit. Daughter of Galileo. Here's the 6, Lachine Graham Motion.
This horse, I mean, I think with your Graham, maybe he's hoping she'll be more effective with more distance. We'll see. She is a bit of a plotter. I don't think she ran that badly, though, in her race last time out. She had a bit of an excuse.
Javier Castellano shows up on the other Clement filly, daughter of Warfront Spatial.
Is it me, or don't remember him riding too much for Clement. We'll see if she can improve. I thought she had a pretty good trip first time out.
And Sent, who will be sent under Kendra Carmouche, used to be with Tom Morley, now with Brad Cox.
It's just odd. You know, you look at the trainer change to Brad Cox, and she just ran the same race. If you like her, your hope is that she could be better on the front end.
That's your field for the 6th here at Belmont Park. Meanwhile, with more on Community Adjusted and Empire Racing, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, pleased to be here with board member Aaron Yagoda of Empire Racing. And Aaron, first, why should people become a part of Empire Racing? I know you're also offering a pretty good deal right now for membership.
Yeah, right now we have a promotional membership through May 15th for a discount into joining. And really, it's really interactive and educational way of learning to be an owner. You know, questions you might not want to ask somebody right away is we cover that in the Empire Racing Club. And it's really the liaison for people to get into racing, because that's the ultimate goal, is for them to become their own owner one day, whether they want to be with partners or in a big partnership with a couple of friends or just by themselves. So it's just a great way to learn the industry from without really getting a big participation in it.
Yeah, kind of opening the gateway per se. And I see that you also partner with kind of other owners, such as, Mr. Green, Rob Masiello. How has that kind of relationship been?
Right, Rob and Mr. Green, we had a proven strategy. Rob was gracious enough to donate Community Adjusted today. We have another horse, Boom Roasted, that your husband Tom Morley is training for us. And it's just a way for them to add the club so that they have an interactive what goes on behind the scenes. And we could really learn. And Tom participated in a Zoom event. And people ask questions that, like I said, they might not be able to be so comfortable to ask, on the day at the races. So it's just a good way to get started in the game.
It's such a great idea and concept. Thank you, Aaron, for your time, and best of luck here with Community Adjusted.
Okay, thank you. And go to NYTHA.com if you want to know, to find more information about the Empire Racing Club.
You couldn't ask for a better promoter than Mr. Yagoda, as it is a really great opportunity for anybody to get involved, very minimal cost and risk, and I think everybody should check out that website that Aaron just gave us. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, that reduced membership, $400, that runs through May 15th. So if you've ever thought about it, great way to get involved with not having to buy a thoroughbred all on your own.
No, I agree. I think it is a really a nice opportunity. And you're also involved with some people who really understand and know the game. And Aaron's a genuine person, and you can learn a great deal from him. We all can learn a lot. I've learned a lot from Aaron, and I could still learn much more. No, go ahead.
Even money on coalition building. Chad Brown, the 2. Irad Ortiz Jr., short-priced favorite. Who can last the mile and a quarter? We're about to find out here in this 6th race from Belmont here on opening day. Here's John Imbriel.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Coalition building going for the lead along with Community Adjusted. Higher Truth is there. Sense on the outside. 4 of them vying for the early lead with Spatial sitting just off them in 5th. Then Peach Me is down on the inside with Lachine alongside. And the trailer is Firing Carol in 8th as the field goes into the clubhouse turn. And it is Scent who has gone on with it to take over here. It's Scent in front by a length and a half. Community Adjusted down on the inside, and Coalition building is right there. So those 2 are heads apart, 2nd and 3rd. And Higher Truth and Spatial are right together, 4th and 5th. Lachine runs in 6th. Firing Carol is in 7th. And the trailer now is Impeach Me in 8th. Opening quarter mile, 24 and 3/5 seconds as the field moves up the Belmont backstretch. And it is Scent, the leader here, by almost 2 lengths. Community Adjusted, Coalition building. They remain right together in behind that front-running Scent. Then it's a break of 2.5 lengths to Spatial, who's in 4th. On the outside is Higher Truth in 5th. Now 4 lengths back to Lysine, another 6 to Firing Carol. And the trailer is Impeach Me, who is way back. Half mile winning 50 in 2/5 seconds, and they're all still chasing Scent, who continues to lead. Now Coalition Building is getting closer on the outside. Scent and Coalition Building go as a team around the far turn. Coalition Building on the outside, Scent down at the rail. Higher Truth is in gear now and gaining ground, and Lysine is moving up on the extreme outside. Spatial's in between horses. As the field hits the top of the stretch, it is Coalition Building who has the lead. Higher Truth on the outside, and Lysine continues to gain. Coalition Building and Lysine, and in between horses, Higher Truth. The three of them come down to the 16th pole together. In between horses, Higher Truth with a narrow lead. Lysine on the outside. It is Higher Truth to break her maiden, going 1.25 miles on the turf. Lysine was second, and Coalition Building finished third.
Chad Brown beats Chad Brown, the even money shot, with a 9-1 shot. It looked like Lysine was starting to kick into gear, but in the end, the other Chad Brown filly.
Right, it looked like Lysine was going to eat both Chad horses up in the stretch, but she kind of hung a little bit after making a run. But Jose Ortiz beats his brother Irad Ortiz on the other Chad Brown, and Coalition Building even money. It's a little bit silly, and it's that Irad Ortiz factor, especially with Chad Brown. This one went off 9-1, and the daughter of Galileo, she appreciated the 1.25 miles. At the end of the day, Coalition Building, and Maggie did have her concerns about the distance, and she was very right. It's not that she ran badly, but she ultimately could not finish the trip off. No excuse for her. The others were way back.
Between horses, it's Higher Truth, just her second start, daughter of Galileo. Appreciating this 1.25 miles, certainly going the best, the latest of anyone in this group. And Jose Ortiz meets the leading rider, edging out his brother at that Aqueduct Spring Meet. Collects another victory.
Yeah, that's 2 for Jose today. Irad had 1 win earlier today, and it's nice to see Jose, as you say, who came off that big win at that big meet at Aqueduct. But nice performance by this horse. Totally ignored the wagering at 9-1.
5, 6, 2, 1. The even money checks in third. 9-1 over 11-1 here in this 6th at Belmont. Prices coming up in a moment. Back to Oaklawn, 4th race, 6 furlongs, starter allowance for $8,000. And Jetsa Jinin, 9-5. This horse has gone on recently a couple of 3-race win streaks and tore it up at Hawthorne, at Fairmount Park, and all those wins were gate to wire.
I don't know about you. I thought she'd be a much stronger favorite in this race. She looks like she's the controlling speed, doesn't she, Greg?
She does. She is lightning quick. There's no one. Maybe the 4 tries to put on a little pressure. Maybe.
She's the only one that has their speed. We'll see how aggressive a ride Santana gives.
Looking for her first win here at Oaklawn. Jetsa Jinin in her 3rd try. Vic Stauffer with the call. Here's race 4.
They're at the post. They're off. Jetsa Jinin in our musical moment. These two sprint out. Jetsa Jinin to the front. Sweet Tatum away in the 3rd. Then comes War Ballad, Entrusted in Hush Y'all, and the trailer is Lay 'Em Out. Jetsa Jinin freewheeling up the backstretch has opened up a 2.5 length lead on our musical moment in 2nd. Sweet Tatum gallops along in 3rd, and she's about 4 from the front, 2.5 to War Ballad. Then comes Hush Y'all. They're in single file leaving the backstretch, and she's 8 from the lead and a length in front of Entrusted. Lay 'Em Out is the trailer, and the uncontested leader is the big favorite Jetsa Jinin. Jetsa Jinin to the quarter pole. Now 2 lengths in front of our musical moment in 2nd. Sweet Tatum is pretty much all in now. She's 3rd and about 3.5 off the lead. Entrusted has moved nicely into 4th in the Lauer green and white. They run to the top of the stretch. Jetsa Jinin in our musical moment are 1-2, and Jetsa Jinin is hand-ridden past mid-stretch, and she leads by 2 lengths. Our musical moment continues to chase her gamely, but Jetsa Jinin is just too good. Jetsa Jinin now 4 in front. Our musical moment, Entrusted, and Lay 'Em Out. Jetsa Jinin in front. Nice win. Jetsa Jinin won 4 1/4. Our musical moment was 2nd, Entrusted 3rd. Lay 'Em Out finished 4th.
Indiana bred, who has just been pretty fun to watch. 11 for 19 in her career now.
It really is amazing, and we've seen some of these funny horses, you know, these horses we're not familiar with from obscure bloodlines, putting on these great records. 11 for 19 is nothing to sneeze at. And as it looked on paper, the 3 was going to the front. The 4 might try to chase in here, Our Musical Moment, but Jetsa Jinin, I don't know if she dropped from her 9 to 5, but she looked good on paper. She looked good on the track.
She was 6 for 7 last year.
Amazing.
Only defeat, she ran 3rd and off to another great start this year. First win in 3 tries this year, but she was in a couple of tough spots. A little bit of a drop down. Gets the victory again. Yeah, 11 wins, 19 career starts. 6-year-old mare by Benny the Bull.
Good old Benny the Bull. I think one of the best races. He ran some very good races. Rick Dutrow trained him. He finished 2nd to the Dual Breeders' Cup winner for Bob Baffert, the sprint winner. In that Forgo. I'm having a senior moment, of course, forgetting the name of one of the best horses to run in the last 10 years. But in the Forgo, who ran a 124 buyer. Completely blank.
Jetsa Jinin.
Midnight
Loot?
Midnight Loot.
There you go, 9 to 5. I believe 9 to 5 on Jetsa Jinin. We'll have the prices in a moment. Back at Belmont, it's going to play big in the late pick 5. Higher Truth, Chad Brown at 9 to 1 with Jose. Let's go to Maggie.
You don't often see that, Greg, at 9 to 1. But Jose coming right back after being unseen by Fast Getaway in the prior race. Talk a little bit about what happened, and obviously you look as though you're A-okay.
Well, by the 3-8 pole, you know, he usually run on the lead or near. He was sitting in a good spot. I thought he was very relaxed where he was, but he felt himself a little tight, and then I felt like he was going all over the place. I thought he broke down for a second. But then when I went to the outside, I looked at him, he was traveling nice, and I got to know where he ducked in again and caught me by surprise. I wasn't ready for it, and unfortunately, I went down.
Well, you're right back at it with Higher Truth, and she seemed to relish the mile and a quarter distance, obviously being by Galileo, that helps.
Yeah, helps a lot. I didn't plan to be there, but she broke really well, and I wasn't going to take it away from her. I was 3 wide the whole way, but I was following the other Chad, which is always a good thing. But from the 5-8 pole, I had to start working on her to keep my position. I got Javier in the inside, and I knew if I keep going with Javier, probably I could have a shot to win. And I was able to keep my position, and I was able to win the race too, so I was very happy about it.
Well, Jose coming off of a big aqueduct, hoping for that momentum to keep coming here at Belmont for sure.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we did really good, and hopefully we carry the momentum. I appreciate the opportunity that I'm getting, and I always will appreciate them. I mean, they keep supporting me. I try my best all the time.
Keep winning races like this, you will. Congratulations, Jose. And always good to see Jose okay after what was a fairly scary moment back in race number 5, Greg, but jockeys are tough. Right back at it here in the winner's circle with Higher Truth.
I was back on Fast Getaway in that 5th race, and he kind of had to bail out there. Scary situation. Good to see him okay, and right back in the winner's circle here in the 6th at 9 to 1. This could play big in the late pick 5.
Absolutely, and especially beating a horse like Ocean Building. But even so, this horse is probably the 5th choice or so. So good luck if you're still alive.
Well, we're going to take a break. We'll be back when we return. We'll take a look ahead to some of the weekend action on Saturday. It's the elusive Quality and Front Run the Fed returning from the Breeders' Cup for Chad Brown for his 5-year-old debut. Stay with us.
This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires, with Grade 1 winners on dirt and turf and star performers both at home and abroad. Warfront's success as an international super sire is unmatched. Recent stars include War of Will, a classic winner on dirt and a Grade 1 winner on turf, Halliday, and Civil Union. In the auction ring, his progeny continued to command top dollar. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Twin Spires is the wagering home of the Kentucky Derby, and with racing at Churchill Downs back, new players can take advantage of our $200 sign-up offer right now. Simply use code GET200 to start earning your $200 new player bonus when you join Twin Spires today and bet on the best racing from the U.S. and around the globe. Plus, if you're looking for help to find a winner, check out our expert picks available in the app for every race. Twin Spires. Bet dedicated.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. Good to have you with us. You can play all the action with Naira Bets. Get signed up started on the app or go to nairabets.com and play every race. We're bringing you up to the Derby and beyond all summer long. Saratoga, all meet long at Belmont. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to all we have to come, including what's coming up this weekend here on the program. We're going to preview some stakes action. A firm success, of course, won the 2002 Carter with our colleague Richard Migliore. It was. I look back at his resume. This horse, unreal. 38 times in his 42 career starts, 100 or better Beyer speed figure.
He truly was a machine, Greg. I remember when he broke his maiden at Aqueduct in April of his 3-year-old career, shortly before Belmont started. And his consistency was remarkable, and he ran against some very, very good horses, and he could run any surface too, Greg.
Just incredible. 17-time winner. Spent a lot of time on the New York circuit, 7 years, in fact. He ran at that New York circuit, making 33 of his 42 career starts here. Rick Schosberg, his trainer, said he had the whole package. Sound, fast, and he was intelligent too.
People will forget, you have his lifetime PBs. He ran the Travers. Was that like his 4th or 5th career start? And
yeah.
I think he ran 4th
career start.
10 lengths or something, right? He didn't even run that badly. A little worse?
A little worse.
Okay. But still, a mile. Oh, you're right. He did a
tough spot.
You know what it was? The Jim Dandy before that in his 4th start. He finished 3rd, beaten just 4 lengths by that bum, Awesome Again. I think he won the Breeders' Cup Classic in his next start. I mean, he was a tremendous horse. And Rick, Rick has a horse in this race, Rick Schosberg, by the way, coming up. I've been around a long time. So is Rick Schosberg. Rick Schosberg has trained some great horses in the past, and he used to be as dangerous with first-time starters as any trainer in the game.
Well, the affirmed success. Here's a look at the field that will line up. It is wide open. Captain Bombastic for Chad Brown moving to his barn now for his 4-year-old debut. He's a 4-time winner.
Yeah, I do like Captain Bombastic in here, and this is him winning the Mike Lee in our somewhat abbreviated meet last year, and he's run some good races throughout his career. But as you say, Greg, there's a lot of horses that can win this race. This is a quality field.
He's among them, but with the presence of him moving to this barn, you know he's going to take a lot of money, as he should. And he loves Belmont, too. He's 3 for 4 on the surface.
You know, I think this is a good spot for him to start. I was very surprised. Chad Brown has, I shouldn't say I'm surprised, Chad Brown has exceptional numbers off of trainer changes in dirt sprints. I would have expected that wouldn't be something, and he's got, I think he's like 40-something% with that move. Yeah, with like, maybe he's like 9 for 19 or something, if I remember correctly.
He's the morning line favorite in that spot. 6 furlongs, that is coming up on tomorrow's card. Then on our Saturday card, 7 furlongs on the turf. That's the elusive quality, and he's going to have a couple of cracks at a win. Chad Brown, that is. Value proposition and front run the Fed, who's going to be making his 5-year-old return.
Yeah, I mean, Front Run the Fed can be forward. The speed in here has proven strategies, and obviously Front Run the Fed has some very accomplished races, and he didn't run that badly in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint and a bit of traffic. Value proposition, drawing the rail, helps him because he's a bit of a runoff. And I think from the rail, he can get kind of covered up and buried in horses, and if he can get out to make his run, I think he can run his best race.
Here's Front Run the Fed. This was from July 5th of last year here at Belmont. This was a win, a 99 Beyer speed figure in this win.
And this is, I think, a good example, not only the same 7 furlongs in the same course here at Belmont, but it showed that he could be relatively forward. And I think that will suit him well because you look at Therapist, Seismic Wave, not as much Casa Creed, who I think is a major, major player in this race. In some ways, he alone front run the Fed, they're the worst to beat. But I don't think the pace is going to be that fast, and that may suit him well in here.
Mima, get back to what you're saying with value proposition. And what does he need to do to be successful?
He's got to relax because he's been a horse that's gotten in trouble. He kind of ran off
Difficult
the poker.
to ride as well.
Yeah, I think he makes riders look bad. He ran off a bit in the Woodbine Mile to the lead in that race. If Irad, getting the rail is good because he's not going to be running with proven strategies. So he's sort of jam him in there, and you just have to hope he can relax and you kind of bury him in traffic a little bit. And then, of course, you have to hope he can get out. But you don't really have much choice. And I texted Chad Brown after I saw the draw, and I said, I think drawing the rail is the best thing for him because it'll force him to get buried sort of in traffic and then try to produce that big run. And he felt the same way. We'll see, though. You know, all the layoffs, the short periods, can he keep running his best races when he comes back?
Trying to get the first stakes win of his career. He'll have the rail. He'll have Irad Ortiz Jr. back aboard. Got to deal with a stablemate, though, as well, and that elusive quality. That is coming up on Saturday, 7 furlongs on the turf. But as you mentioned, you have proven strategies, incredibly quick. He's talented. Casa Creed's going to take money in there. It's a good race. Therapist, of course, who's been around forever, now back as a 6-year-old.
And he's in 7 furlongs. He only got to do it once last year at Belmont, and he won.
Yeah.
I think this is a tougher field he beat that day, but this is the right distance, the absolute perfect distance for him. We'll see if he's ready off a layoff, but he won last year off the layoff.
That's what we had to look forward to coming up this weekend. We got more on today's card, though, and that 7th race, 6.5 furlongs. Entry-level allowance, dirt sprint, 7-5 favorite. That one right there, Ant Cat. Bill Mott. Sensational effort last time out to break the maiden. With more, let's go downstairs. Back to Acacia Courtney. Hi, Acacia.
Hey, Greg, and we have a couple of interesting layoff runners in this spot, too, and we'll get to Ant Cat in a moment, but starting down to the inside with the number 1 Pleasant Orb, who was last seen here on Belmont Stakes Day, which at that time was the first leg of the Triple Crown, running second to Gamine in the Acorn last year. Now, she's always a filly that I've really liked and have actually preferred going a little bit longer just because she's such a big kind of scopy type of filly. I watched some of her recent workouts as she was stabled down in Florida, and you have the ability to go on XVTV and watch them as she was training down at Palm Meadows. And those steady workouts going the 5 furlongs, the one on April 2nd was available. Her exercise rider had a really tight hold on her. She just had a ton left. Asked a little bit into the stretch, but then she really just kind of leveled off and finished up nicely. And you could see that in her. She comes back, great coat, well muscled. I wonder if this is a stepping stone race for her. I don't mind her going. I think she's a 1-turn horse for sure, going a touch shorter. But I'm curious if she will maybe stretch out a little bit down the line. Now, the number 2, Ant Cat. This filly won very impressively last time out. She was sharp from the inside, just pulled away from the rest, and I can absolutely see why they tried her going 1 mile and an eighth 2 starts back. She is massive. She's got a lot of leg to her. Her physical is just so long. But sometimes you do have those outliers and those kind of big horses that tend to actually be a little bit sharper when going shorter. So that's what she's doing today. She's very sharp too. She's just a very imposing looking filly, super fit off of that last out victory. She does have some early speed, and wondering how the pace may play out for her in here, but she looks like she's going to be sharp out of the gate once again. Now, the number 4, Saratoga Affair, saw her in her debut where she was sprinting, and she actually ran well going a distance of ground. Now, she, to me, physically looks more like this is the proper distance for her. She, too, was training down in Florida, watching those workouts. Even though she's not a huge filly and she's a sprinter, she has this really effective, even kind of loping stride. She's a lovely mover. So I'm excited to see her back going shorter. She's off the bench, though. She's one that I'm very intrigued by now that she's going a distance I think will really suit her. She, too, well muscled behind the saddle. That's the engine where you really want to see that power coming from. Greg?
All right, Acacia, thank you. 7 minutes away here from the 7th race. Coming up, 8 to 5 on Ant Cat. 95 by her in that 9 3/4 length maiden win in the third start of her career. There she is. We're going to show it to you right now.
Yeah, she benefited from riding a gold rail that day, so it's probably a little bit dressed up. But having said that, you know, she's a horse, and I said this twice, both in her debut and in her second start. Why were they running her in those distance races? Her dam, Carolyn's Cat, ran for Kieran McLaughlin. She was an extremely talented dirt sprinter. So she got back to sprinting, which she probably should have been doing all the time, and she gets the job done, Greg. So, I mean, I'm not surprised she ran well. She meets, though, a more experienced rival in the clear-cut second likeliest winner in Ruvies in Time. How about that stat?
This is incredibly telling. So Bill Mott, Hall of Fame trainer, with horses who've broken their maiden their last start in dirt sprints, the last 5 years, just 1 for 32?
Yeah, I was shocked by this stat. And to tell you, there were 5 horses in the sample that were 6 to 5 or less, and just 1 for 5 in that sample. And this does concern me a little bit. And she's a bit dressed up. My problem was the only alternative I could find was Ruvies in Time. There must be a giant tip on the 4 Cerro Affair, because in my opinion, if the 4 Cerro Affair wasn't trained by Chad Brown, she would be and should be the longest shot on the board at 15 or 20 to 1 in this race. I have no idea. Maybe she's working very well. Maybe people are drunk with Irad Ortiz and Chad Brown. We just saw them losing even money with a horse who probably should have been 2 to 1, and we saw them win earlier at 1 to 5 on a horse that should have been about 4 to 5 and won by about a half length to a neck. They're badly overbetting these horses, and I don't know what defense you can have for liking Cerro Affair in this race, who looks woefully slow.
She's 3 to 1. She's been off since June of last summer as well. Meanwhile, here's the 5 Ruvies in Time. She comes in off back-to-back wins, including a stakes win at Aqueduct. 6 for 21 lifetime for this 5-year-old mare.
Of course, trained by Rick Schosberg, trainer of confirmed success. And she rode a gold rail when she won 2 back. In this race, her chief competition, I believe, was the 3rd finisher, Malibu Mischief, who really didn't run very well. But she stalked that one and put her away. And I think what's important about this win is it showed that she's not a one-way horse, Greg. She doesn't need to be the controlling speed. And she's run 2 fast races in the past, really 3 good ones before. And her best races had come when she could control. But she showed she didn't need to last time. And, I mean, to me, she's the only. If Iron Cat doesn't win, in all likelihood, Ruvies in Time is way, way, way the likeliest second winner, and to me, it's far back to the others.
There she is. She's 7 to 2. Manny Franco will be aboard. He's admitted on board for each of the last 2 victories here coming in. She's also won twice on this surface here at Belmont. As you get a look there at Irad Ortiz Jr. coming into the paddock there. Some fist bumps before he hops aboard Saratoga Affair. Meanwhile, this is the 6 horse on the outside. She's a black belt. Mert Cancantermasi. And actually comes in with some decent form. It's going to be a tough test for her.
It is, but I think if you like She's a Black Belt, you have to be encouraged by the fact that she's really dramatically improved since she was claimed by Mert Cancantermasi, improving her speed figures in every start. So if you go by that pattern, does she have a chance to take another step forward? And, I mean, I look at this race, and she's 10 to 1, and Cerro Affair is 7 to 2. Somebody wanted to give me 5 to 2 or 2 to 1 that she finished ahead of the number 4. I'm in. And I don't even really like the 6, but I'm in. To me, the 4 is just wildly overbet because of her connections.
Yeah, it would appear so. We'll see. I mean, she's lightly raced. She's only sprinted once. They stretched her out. It was a muddy racetrack. She ran second to Alondra. I know there's some hype about.
But she hasn't run well in any race. She's run a handful of races, and she's been non-competitive since then. And that was a bad field she beat first time out. She's also a Chad Brown horse, paid $9 in a nondescript maiden race at Gulfstream. Geez, I don't see it. I respect Chad Brown a great deal, and maybe she's working well and she could take a step forward. But based on the races Cerro Affair has run, she should be absolutely the longest shot on the board near, and I don't think it's close.
What about the rail runner here, Pleasant Orb? She's Barclay tagged now. She used to be with Steve Asmussen. Her last start, a distant second, but it was a second to Gamine, if you want to call it that, 18 1/4 lengths behind her.
And she finished at a Warren White, who may not be as good as her trainer, Rudy Rodriguez, seems to think, but she is a fairly talented runner, and she had a win here relatively recently. I've always liked this horse. I will say it has a look of a prep. I'm not to say she can't run well in here, but you see her going 6.5. She's only run route race Barclay Tag, debuted at 7 furlongs. It looks like a stepping stone off what's a 10-month layoff to her next start going longer.
Coming through that tunnel, our post parade here coming up. 7 to 5 favorite, Ant Cat. Third time was the charm for her, and it was the first time she was sprinting, and it was also it was at this 6.5 furlong distance as well.
Yeah, and she's supposed to be the controlling speed here. The wind has died down a little bit, but one of the reasons the early fractions have been slow, there was an extraordinarily headwind, especially earlier, but still going on down the backstretch.
Here's the favorite, Junior Alvarado. Had such a great Gulfstream meet because he teamed up with Bill Mott out there, and they won a lot of races as he went there full time for the first time since early in his career. Here's
his agent's right next to us.
Oh, okay. We'll see if we can get the scoop. Pleasant, can you hear through the glass?
He likes her.
4-1, Pleasant Orb.
I like this filly and think she's a kind of horse that's given a chance, and she is the daughter of a blowout Breeders' Cup Distaff winner right here at Belmont Park for Shug McGay.
Here's the favorite, 3-2, should be controlling things early.
Yeah, I mean, she's a little light here considering how pressed her last race was. We'll see if she can keep going because she does obviously have some promise.
Whispering Pine, she comes out of a state-bred stake at Laurel. She actually has some good numbers she's run.
I agree. I don't know why this horse is 13-1 in this race. I mean, I look at her last two races. Trainer switched to Ratio de Paz. I mean, Brian Lynch, very good, but so is Ratio de Paz. I don't know why she's the outlying longest shot on the board.
7-2, Saratoga Affair, Chad Brown.
Listen, maybe she improves, but right now she is dramatically overbet based on connections.
Stakes winner, we showed you last out. She won by 4 lengths, and Aqueduct Ruvy's in time.
She's in great form. She's run consecutive mid-80s buyers. To me, she is the clear-cut second likeliest winner.
And she's a black belt outside Mertcan Cantermasi.
She's improving with every start since Mertcan Cantermasi has claimed her, I should say, and maybe she takes another step forward. She'll need to, but maybe she does.
So that's your field here in this 7th at Belmont. We had a big upset in that last race. And Cat, can Belmont overcome historically what numbers say a move does not work for him usually? 1 for 32 in this type of instance, coming off a maiden win dirt sprints over the last 5 years. Let's go to Acacia for more.
I wanted to talk about a couple of the others. You guys had mentioned the number 3, Whispering Pines. I like her in here. I think that she is one with a shot. An interesting note about her, I didn't cover her race 2 starts back, but the first one that she ran with Brian Lynch after being transferred from Stanley Huffscare back at the end of December, she won that race to break her maiden after breaking through the starting gate beforehand. And we know how much energy that takes to break through the gate. She had been acting up in the gate prior, and she still won the race. So overcoming all of that, I thought was pretty impressive. She's acted like a perfect lady today, very, very professional. And I do prefer a little bit shorter for her. She cuts back to the 6.5. Ruby's in Time is going to be my pick ultimately. She is super fit. She's in great form right now. And when she got out on the track, I mean, she was just dragging Manny Franco around. She really seems full of herself. And just a quick note, as it is windy, and you will see that affect the races, but sometimes it will also affect the horses too. Something about the wind, it kind of gets under their tails a little bit and kind of gets them a little bit riled up, and that's what I saw a little bit from Ruby's in Time out on track. But after that strong warm-up under Manny Franco, she came back to him nicely. She is one of the more seasoned one in here. She is just on the muscle today. Love what I saw from her out on the track. But I think this is a really interesting field, and who's going to step forward in this spot, Greg?
Acacia, thanks. Yeah, I was watching off screen before Acacia even got to that horse, and Manny was having a tough time getting Ruby's in Time pulled up. She put in a lot of work over this last couple of minutes here.
Look at her now, though. Cool as a cucumber.
She's fine.
No, she's everybody's happy to be back at Belmont Park. We're all going to be happy, though, tomorrow we'll be able to be outside, and the weather will go, and we are looking forward, of course, to hopefully sooner than later, to fans coming back. We do miss you guys. And
no
really
question.
Want people to be able to come back to beautiful Belmont.
No question we do. It's supposed to be, I believe, April 23rd that a lot of venues were able to make that, but because horse racing has, especially Belmont Park, so many different areas that...
Vaccination.
Yeah, exactly. But restaurants, the garden in the back, different seating options. It's going to be a little while before they get that guidance on exactly how many people they can let in. But as soon as we hear that, we will pass that along, and we hope it's right around the corner.
We do. We miss our friends to come out and visit us. And Greg, you know, you have a big fan base, and you know, it won't take long for they're lining up again for autographs, pieces of clothing, you know, the usual. Looking forward to seeing.
Happy to give it all away.
Yeah, seeing if Aunt Cat can build on that maiden win, because she did really show the promise. Even with a good trip in the Gold Rail, you break your maiden like that, even under ideal circumstances. Yeah. She has the potential to be a very nice horse. We'll see.
Can she back it up? We'll find out here. She's in post 2. Junior Alvarado aboard. She is 7-5. Big favorite, John Imbriao. Here's the 7th from Belmont. You're watching America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2.
And they're off. And Cat sent right out for the early lead and quickly opens up by 2. Ruby's in Time is racing in second with Pleasant Orb down on the inside, next in third. In between horses, Saratoga Affair runs in fourth. She's a Black Belt is next in fifth, and Whispering Pines is the trailer in sixth. And it is the favorite here, Ant Cat, with the lead here by 3/4 of a length over Ruby's in Time, the opening quarter mile, 23 and 2. Pleasant Orb is down at the rail. Saratoga Affairs in between horses. Extreme outside, She's a Black Belt, and Whispering Pines continues the trail in sixth, midway on the far turn. It is Ant Cat by a head. Ruby's in Time right there on the outside in second, length and a half. Pleasant Orb is at the rail in third. Saratoga Affair on the outside as they come for the quarter pole. The half was running 46 and 4. It is still Ant Cat with the lead. Ruby's in Time on the outside, and down at the rail is Pleasant Orb in third. Whispering Pines has moved into fourth. It is Ant Cat, and now she has opened up. Ant Cat quickly opening up on the field here. She's in front by a half dozen lengths. Then Pleasant Orb, Whispering Pines, and Ruby's in Time. Ant Cat, a clear-cut winner, and she was sharp today. Won by 5.5 lengths, 6.5 furlongs in 1 minute, 16 and 4/5 seconds.
Belmont 2 for 33 now in these instances. And it was interesting watching this race, seeing the massive size disparity. She is a big filly, Ant Cat.
You could really see it at the start, Greg, and that must be one of the reasons that they ran her long in her first 2 starts. I mean, as you said, it's not just that she's kind of big, she's very long.
Yeah.
And this is not like her maiden win. These are more experienced, talented horses. Ruby's in Time put a little run at her. Those are very honest fractions given the wind conditions in here and a very honest final time. She's okay, this horse. I mean, onwards and upwards for her, but this was a big test for her, and she didn't just beat them, she buried them.
Yeah, she's beating a filly or a mare coming off a stakes win who's a 6-time winner, Ruby's in Time, and doing it by this kind of margin. That was impressive. Ant Cat now back-to-back wins for Belmont. Junior Alvarado aboard. Let's go to Acacia.
Yes, she was very impressive. And Andy mentioned at the start where you could really see that size difference. We could also just see it in her stride. I mean, 1 or 2 strides out of the gate for her with those long legs, and she just kind of seemed to cover more ground than anybody else in there as well. She pulled away really, really nicely, and you love to see a horse do it in that way. And yeah, she is very big. And we talk about it sometimes with the physicals. I always go back to somebody like Usain Bolt, who was so tall and had so much size, and yet was running those shorter distances. Some physicals, though they might look like they want to go longer or a different distance, their stride or their power is just so much more potent going shorter. And I think that's exactly the case with Ant Cat.
Well, she just needs the little move that Bolt had after he won a race. 7-5 on Ant Cat. It's going to get tougher from here, but this was very impressive. 1:16 and 4 final time for the 6.5 furlongs.
Get a little love to Leanna Williford, who's the assistant, who's with the Belmont horses New York year-round. Actually asked her recently about this horse and said she was in training. They were hoping to have her back, and she came back, and she could have a little bit of a future as a sprinter. This horse is okay. And she probably just looks like such a big horse. You might not have thought it, but it's not always about physicality in that sense, but she's a runner. Man.
Look who wound up, it was a long way back, but look who wound up in second, by the way.
Yeah, Whispering Pines. Well, we talked about it, and the number 4 Saratoga Affair finished a badly beaten 5th in here. Not surprising, just over bet.
2 wins today for Junior Alvarado, and Cat looks like she has a future. That was impressive in the 7th here at Belmont. We'll have the prices in a moment. We're going to head to Oaklawn and the 5th race, $30,000 claiming event. 3/4 of a mile distance, 6 furlong sprint here. Cherished, Diodoro, David Cohen, 2 of the dominant connections on this circuit, favored at 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the question with this horse a little bit is how concerned are you that the number 6 Take Charge Erica is going to put pressure on her, right? If she can sort of shake that one off, because she is more of an effective horse when she's able to control on the front end. All 5 wins, if you look, all came when she was right on the lead. So will she get much pressure? And if you're worried about that, who's the biggest threat? I guess the second choice, AP Princess, the second choice.
Yeah, that's the 5 in here for Cipriano Contreras. 82 Buyer in her last start. That was second off the bench.
Yeah, I was looking up the horse that beat her in her last race. The figure came up a little high. When you look at AP Princess, even other dirt figures are a little bit slower, so I don't know how reliable it is. On the other hand, Cherished, you have to be a little concerned, big price or not last time. She didn't run well, but if she can control, she's the worst to beat. I'm not against her, but I would worry a little bit. The 6, Take Charge Erica, will put some pressure on her.
Yeah, that 2 just left your screen in those hot pink silks. She did not fire, as you mentioned. It was her first start, though, since December 4th. You hope she's better for it, because she's usually a model of consistency.
She is, and I think, the first thing I always look at, I see her running at Remington Park in Lone Star, and I think, I wonder if she's ever been at Oaklawn before. Well, she was 2 for 3 at Oaklawn with a second-place finish before that, and they're in the PPs last year. And to be fair, she was almost 13-1 last week, Greg, so it's not as though she finished. If she was 5th and she was 2-1 in there, then I think you'd have to be a lot more concerned. She was probably running a race that, she needed off of the layoff, and she just wasn't good enough, and she couldn't make the lead. Sharp break here, put her in front. If the 6 doesn't put a ton of pressure on her, it's going to be very hard to beat.
6-5. There she is. David Cohen again will be aboard. 8 times in 21 starts she's been first or second. There's Golub the Great. Scott Becker trains. She's been first or second in 9 of her 18 starts. She's coming off a route race last start. They tried her going long.
Yeah, she's sort of my kind, right? With the turn back, you have that good sprint coming off an almost 3-month layoff. Then they try to run her a route. She runs poorly, and now maybe she runs her better race. So I think on reflection, if I was going to try to beat the 2, maybe she'd be where I go.
Third off the layoff for her as well.
I love a turn back. Illinois bred, Greg. So an Indiana bred last race. Oaklawn is really like the rainbow of breeding places, right? It's amazing. Utah bred, Kansas bred. You see them all there.
Be bred anywhere and win there in Hot Springs. There's the favorite moving in, Cherished, in those hot pink silks, a Flying P stable, 5-year-old mare by Congrats. And as Andy said, going to try and control things early in this race. Vic Stauffer with the call. Start of the late pick 5.
Cherished has broken through the starting gate. Didn't get far at all. As usual, the Oaklawn Racing Casino Resort gate crew shows they're the best in the business. Good to go. They're at the post. They're off. Take Charge Erica and Cherished break best. AP Princess and She's Fire and Ice, then Golub the Great, and the early trailer is Sandy Sangria. Match racing up the backstretch with Cherished and Take Charge Erica. They'll match strides 2 lengths in front of AP Princess. Golub the Great moves into 4th and about 3 off the lead. Sandy Sangria tugs outside of her. She's Fire and Ice now the trailer. They run past the half-mile marker. Cherished and Take Charge Erica are 1-2. Take Charge Erica is outside of Cherished. Then it's 2 lengths to AP Princess and Sandy Sangria. Golub the Great got shuffled back a bit leaving the backstretch. She's now 5 off the lead, and she's 2.5 in front of She's Fire and Ice. The battle up front continues. Take Charge Erica and Cherished, and Take Charge Erica is a neck in front. AP Princess comes into 3rd and 2 from the front. Then comes Sandy Sangria and Golub the Great. Final furlong, Take Charge Erica and Cherished. They continue to match strides. AP Princess a length and a half back in 3rd. Golub the Great is 4th. Sandy Sangria 5th. Take Charge Erica and Cherished. AP Princess to the outside. 3 to the wire. Take Charge Erica and Cherished. Take Charge Erica. She did it again. Take Charge Erica beat Cherished, AP Princess, and Golub the Great.
Take Charge Erica with the win. Don't break well. You're a speedster. It's going to cost you, and it cost the favorite here.
No, and it Take Charge Erica broke very, very well. Cherish broke not badly, but a step slow. And, you know, that's so important, as you say, to a speed horse because it put her in a situation where she got engaged in a real duel with the 6. And give credit to the winner in this race. Take Charge Erica. Wins 2 straight, moves up, and grinds it out, and nobody could get to them.
All right, let's go back to the beginning and see what happened here with the 2 Cherished.
There's just so important, and it's not extreme, but she breaks about, you know, I would say a quarter to a third of a length behind the 6, but the 6 is sort of right in stride, and David's got to get her up in there, and it's not as significantly slow, but the 6 broke a little bit better, and it makes a big difference. And here, I mean, what did she win by? Head to a neck? Really made all the difference.
She's sort of slow in the stride, at least in relative to the 6. Not today for the favorite in here. Take Charge Erica, back-to-back wins now at the meet. As this meet at Oaklawn, final few days. Yeah, coming a Derby day, final day of the meet.
5-day racing week next week.
We're going to take a break. Take Charge Erica with the win in Hot Springs. Nightcap coming up at Belmont. Stay with us. We'll be back on America's Day at the Races right after this.
Taprit, sold for $1.2 million as a yearling at Saratoga. Taprit's victories include the Grade 1 Belmont Stakes. In his first 2 years at stud, he bred over 240 mares. Now his first weanlings have arrived.
And Show Barn, 100,000.
One of the best bred sons of Sires Tappet to ever enter stud. Classic winner and stakes record setter Taprit, standing at Gainesway.
The ultimate accolade for a racehorse is to be named Horse of the Year. To be enshrined to the Hall of Fame is to achieve immortality. As a stallion, genetic immortality is defined in 2 words: breed shaper, plain and simple. 2-time Horse of the Year and Hall of Fame inductee, Curlin is just that. Breed shaper, Curlin, the classic sire.
Back at America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2 with opening live day coverage here of the Belmont Park Spring Summer Meet. It's brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Impressive filly in her first try against winners. Handles this field with ease here. And Cat now back-to-back wins for Belmont. 4-year-old filly by Uncle Mo. Junior Alvarado, he's got a couple wins on the card. Let's head downstairs to Acacia.
Pleased to be joined by winning rider Junior Alvarado, who's kicked off the Belmont meet in style with a couple of wins. And Junior, Aunt Cat, I mean, she's such a big filly. You rode her in her debut, and now she's been sprinting in her last couple. How have you seen her develop now since the first time you rode her?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's a filly we always thought because her size, and even though the way she moves in the morning, you know, she gives you the feeling that, you know, she's a filly that probably would handle better going long distance, you know. But, you know, I guess we kind of found what she really wants to do, which is kind of like a sprint. And like I said, I mean, at the same time, because her size, she got a good stamina and a good turn of foot too, you know, to handle the 6 furlongs.
And she's so sharp out of the gate, too. She really put herself right into the race. And like you said, do you feel like she's almost got a little bit more punch to that stride, given how fast she is early on?
Yeah, definitely. You know, she broke today so fast that I just have to kind of like grab the mane and kind of go with her and let her do her own thing, you know, try not to get in her way. But you can, I mean, I could feel the whole way around, you know, how much that she's kind of like, you know, kind of like waiting for me to get at the goal, you know, and that's what I did, you know, when I turned for home and I kind of like tap her a little bit, you can see the difference when she like accelerate very quick and you know, gear down at the end. But I mean, I think, you know, she's going to keep moving forward.
And you kicked off the Belmont Park Spring Meet here with 2 wins already today. How meaningful is that, and how much of a confidence boost is that to kick off a meet? We're so happy to be back here at Belmont, and you're starting it off in style.
Definitely, you know, it's exciting. You know, like I've been doing pretty good. You know, this year, you know, like getting in a good run, and definitely start with the right foot is very important. Trainers can see that you still riding as well as before, and just try to keep going.
Oh, keep it going for sure, Junior. Thanks and congratulations.
All right, thanks, guys.
Junior Alvarado keeping that momentum going for sure after a strong winter down in Florida, keeping all of that coming back up here back to New York and starting off Belmont on the right foot for sure.
Acacia, thank you. $164,000 in this late pick 5 pool. Here's what's come in so far. That Higher Truth at 9-1, biggest number in that sequence. We had an odds-on favorite in Maxwell Esquire, but still with Higher Truth coming in. Let's see what we got.
Well, let's take a look at the will pays, because the parlay for $250 for $2 is $250. So the favorite, I'm guessing, is the 9 at 2. So you're getting over 3-1 on the number 9 horse, which I guess is probably around where she'll end up, maybe around 5-2 or so. But all you had to do was find that one semi-tough horse.
Chad Brown.
Fairly obvious. Chad Brown. I used Chad Brown in that race. The other one. But can't complain when you're using big favorites.
Monjuice does not have to win this race. What did you think? I know we're going to Oaklawn.
Greg, I know one thing. I wouldn't use the term have to win for any horse in this race.
Good call. Take Charge Erica back at Oaklawn. Holds off the favorite here. That 2 down on the inside and picks up the 7th win of her career.
I was wondering, Greg, if the 6 would get in the 2's way because of all her speed. Well, I was correct that she did that, but I didn't really consider the possibility that she may get so much in her way that she would beat her, and she did. Good for her.
6-1 on Take Charge Erica. 1460 for the victory. Aaron Shorter, Gary Tussey, and a 5-year-old mare by Take Charge Indy with the win. We still have the nightcap coming up here at Belmont. We're approaching the 11-minute mark to post. We'll go through the field when we return. A lot trying the turf for the first time. Perplexing race to close it out.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program because New York breds start with an advantage. New York breds run for serious green. At Belmont and Saratoga, New York bred maidens run for up to $75,000 and allowance horses for up to $85,000. And serious New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race in open company. So get back with the program. Seriously.
DeMarchelier offers breeders a rare opportunity as the only son of emerging sire of sires, Dubois, standing in Kentucky. His picture-perfect pedigree includes 9 Grade 1 winners under the first 3 dams. Dubois and his sons and grandsons at stud have established stars on both turf and dirt. Now his first foals have arrived. DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome to McMahon Thoroughbreds. I'm Joe McMahon. This is my wife, Ann. We're the proprietors of the McMahon Thoroughbred Farm. We've been here for 50 years. This farm here was 88 acres back then. It's now over 800 acres.
McMahon Thoroughbreds is the birthplace of Funnyside, the winner of the 2003 Kentucky Derby and Preakness.
This area has become popular for horse farms because of its proximity to the Saratoga racetrack and the sales, to the extent that now we have 4 major horse farms right within a few miles of here. There's Mill Creek Farm, there's Rick Burke's Irish Hill Farm, there's Quest Royal North, as well as McMahon Thoroughbreds. Probably more importantly than those large farms, there's lots of mom and pop farms with 1 or 2 mares in the backyard. The area has really come into its own in the last 20 years.
I measure success by the quality of the New York breds that are now raised in New York State. With this fantastic breeding program, out-of-staters have been lured into the state, bringing better stock, better stallions.
Currently, we have a horse here called Central Banker. He's pretty successful. He's very popular.
We're getting a much better product to race in New York.
Just a few minutes from Saratoga Racetrack, McMahon Thoroughbreds. We tell you all the time, it pays to run a New York bred. You can find out more at nybreds.com. New York Thoroughbred Breeding and Development Fund. We have the nightcap coming up here. Going to get to the post parade here in a moment. We're 7 minutes from a start. Let's head downstairs to Acacia.
We'll talk about a couple of horses trying the turf for the first time, starting with him taking a lot of attention, and that's the 3 Sport model. Now, she was fanned off last time. I don't know exactly what happened, but she does come back and try the grass for the first time. The Dam's 3 wins were all on the turf, and overall, she does look much more like a turf horse. She has those kind of slacker pasterns that we talk about, that flatter pancake-like hoof. She's been very quiet here in the paddock. She did perk up a little bit with the tack on, but that's something I'm going to keep an eye on, especially with sprinters. You like to see them have a little bit more energy, perk up a little bit, but she is very, very fit. She has good muscle to her, and I do like the surface switch for her. The number 5, Undetectable, also tries the turf for the first time. The Dam never won period, but all 8 of her starts were on the turf. While she doesn't have that kind of proverbial flat kind of turf hoof, she's fine for it. What I've noticed about her is that she's a little bit lighter behind the saddle, like a little bit more of an angular type of build and just not as bulky behind. Sometimes horses like that, as again that hind end is that engine, horses with that kind of build have an easier time pushing off on the turf because it's a softer, kind of more forgiving surface. So I thought that she was a little bit interesting. I'm trying the turf for the first time. We did see Jorge Abreu's barn really light on fire towards the end of the Aqueduct Spring meet. The number 9, Mondoose, who does have turf experience and a good turf race. Well, I should say a decent turf race. I think the top 2 were much best in there in that last start, and she was closing up along the rail, has the turf pedigree as well. I just wasn't overwhelmed by her here in the paddock, to be quite honest. She does have good forward energy. She has her ears up. She's pretty sharp. I just thought that she'd benefit from a start off the layout just to get tucked up a little bit more and just kind of get underneath of herself a little bit more. She could win in this field. I just thought that there were a couple others who may be a little bit more interesting in what I think is a very wide open race. Greg?
Keisha, thanks. It does appear to be that way. She's 4-1 right now. Very distant third, sprinting on the turf at Aqueduct to close out her 2-year-old campaign. She can move forward, though. We'll see. She'll get Lasix here for the comeback.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an argument against Mondoose being somewhat logical, but it is a wide-open race because she's not that good, obviously, based on her 2-year-old form. Mazel 18, who has the best form, that was the 2-year-old in 2019, her 1 race while on synthetic at a mile. She was virtually eased, so who knows if she can even run competitively anymore. The horse I picked for Christophe Clement, the 3 Sport model, is going to be a relatively short price. She should improve on turf. Her Dam's a multiple in the turf, but who knows if she can run.
So you talked about with Mazel 18, can she still do it? This was back in November of 2019. She was off about a year and a half. When she was running and sprinting on the turf, she was very competitive, but it's been a long time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she ran multiple times. But the other problem, of course, Greg, is even while doing that, at relatively short price, she has 2 seconds and 2/3. But, I mean, as a 2-year-old 2 years ago, she was good. And I think she is kind of the horse to beat because of that. But how can you have any confidence in her at all? I mean, who knows if she can run, right?
She gets in, and from the also eligible, as Kendrick Carmouche is going to be aboard. It looks like in this field, at least she's shown some ability on the surface. The rest of this group, either they're trying it for the first time or they've not shown much on it.
Right. And I mean, if you go through, and I'm sure we'll have a few more minutes, you can look through. There's a little pedigree, as we said, in the 3. The Dam of the 7 was a winner in the turf, though it's lower levels. The 10 lasts. The Dam side, she's a half-outrageous bet. It was a reasonably nice turf sprinter for the same connections, and the Dam is 2 for 2 with her production on the turf. So there is some pedigree on the 10. It was a huge price.
Yeah, Mira Shashakli trains this one. Outrageous Bet was a 5-time winner on the turf.
And the horse originally with Gary Contasso, Amira worked for, and then eventually she ended up training him as well. And he was a very talented turf sprinter, though this one is a race day, and I know race day is a Tappet, but not known as a big turf influence.
17-1. He just left the screen. Here's a 6 Wish for Magic. This Dam never won, including 0 for 4 on the turf, and this will be the first foal to try this surface.
She seems like the big price she is. But listen, you never really know if they can improve a little bit on the surface. Why not? How about the 11 Nebo, who's never been on the turf? The dam produced 5 horses to try the turf. Well, she never raced on it. 2 of the 5 won, and this is a daughter of Freud, so you do have turf pedigree in that one as well.
Yeah, Nebo at 6 to 1. Walking through your screen right now, the 12, Madame Rose, 34 to 1, huge price. Not much to recommend pedigree-wise there. Dam was 1 for 6 on the turf, won an 18 maiden claimer at Penn National.
You are on fire. I mean, you really, I'm very impressed. Even I didn't look up to see where the horse won its race. I did see that the 7's Dam won at Suffolk Downs.
This was the kind of race you had to dig deep.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Trick the universe here. First foal to race. Benji Hernandez rides 20 to 1.
Yeah, this horse has done no running, and it's just the Dam was, I think, 0 for 6 dirt. She's a very nice dirt sprinter that ran around here.
Sport model, Christophe Clement sent out, was a 3-time winner on the turf all sprints.
Yeah, I guessed with this one, hope it could improve. Oh, the Dam, unfortunately, the production 0 for 3 with the foals on the turf.
3 runners, right?
3 runners,
combined
yeah.
0 for 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Sailor's Treasure, first-time starter for Gary Siaka.
Yeah, going back to that one. Dam never ran the turf. She wasn't much horse. And the Dam tried one foal tried the turf and did no running.
First on turf for Bellamy's Party Girl. She's 0 for 7 so far.
Dam was 0 for 2 in the turf. This is her first foal.
Undetectable. Dam was 0 for 8 in the money on the turf.
Yeah, trained by the late, very popular Glenn DeSanto, but there really is no pedigree to move up. The best thing you're going for at this point is the trainer.
Wish for Magic, the 6 we talked briefly about.
Yeah, would have to completely turn things around. It just doesn't have the pedigree to do it, so a total guess without much backing.
7 at 14 to 1 here. New York banker rider changed Nick Juarez.
Thought this one a little interesting. Did a smidgen of running on the dirt and has a pedigree suggests should handle it and maybe even move up on it.
Mongoose 7 to 2. Her offspring a combined 3 for 30 on grass.
Yeah, this is one's last race. You know, the field was okay. The horse was a little bit against the track. I think she's very logical in here.
Last, the first timer you were talking about 18 to 1. Amir Shishakli.
I think if you want a goofy horse in here, use Last. If you're looking to play some exactas or tries, put her in your play.
Nebo taking some play. You mentioned a little pedigree here.
And she has some speed on the turf, so maybe she can be a little more forward here on the turf as well.
35 to 1 next door. Madame Rose.
Yeah, she'd have to move up and doesn't really have the pedigree to do it.
And in from the also eligible list, Mazel 18, who 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 4 turf tries, but again, it was a long time ago, back in 2019.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it was a mile on synthetic her first time, but whew, was she bad in there.
But a big drop?
Yeah, and obviously can win this race. Joseph Lee, the trainer, if you're not familiar, ex-assistant to Kieran McLaughlin.
3 to 1 favorite. The also eligible with more on this group. Let's go back to Acacia.
Okay. Wanted to talk about the number 11, Nebo. Andy mentioned some of the pedigree, and I just have to say, just based on a physical, this horse probably a standout in the field. Beautiful coat, beautifully muscled, does have that turf hoof that we talked about. I was encouraged that a couple of the siblings had one on the grass and just really kind of touted herself nicely there in the paddock. And also, as we know, Freud's can be very successful on the turf, and she's ultimately going to be my pick, as she will try the grass for the first time. The number 13, Mazel 18. This one does have some good races against Tougher, obviously, in 2019, but was very well muscled. Now second off the layoff after that synthetic try last time out, which obviously she didn't handle. She was a bit fresh. She was really kind of on her toes, kind of jig-jogging when trying to hook up with the pony out on track. And after just a few strides, Kendrick took her away. They've linked back up with the pony now, just to kind of get some of those nerves out, I think. But she really seemed to be very much on her toes this afternoon. Will be interesting to see how aggressive he is from the outside, as she does look like she's ready to go. Physically, I didn't have any complaints with her as she comes back and drops in for the lowest level that she has ever run. And I do think that maybe it wasn't a good effort last time, but that last race probably helped her just as far as getting back to the racetrack and building up those muscles a little bit more, as she is definitely feeling her oats today and feeling fresh out there on the track, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. Getting set to load up here. We'll see who can step up, who takes to this surface. is also eligible, remaining as the 3-1 favorite here with Kinder Carmouche.
Yeah, I get it, and I'm not surprised she wins. I picked her third. I didn't have a lot of clever thoughts in here. I think you have to be very concerned about her effort last time, but maybe she's a horse that can only run on the turf and can't handle synthetic or dirt at all.
And again, pick 5 to her. The favorite, Mazel 18, the 13, $306.75.
Yeah, so she's actually the third choice. I think both the 9 and 3 are slightly shorter. A bit of randomness in that race. I had used her in my now defunct pick 5. Like I said, I put Sport Model on top. My price horses to throw in there would be the 10 Lass and the 11 Nebo and the 7 New York Banker. You know, I think that for me, they're the ones that I used that are prices in here. 11's the Nebo's not even a price. I mean, 5 to 1 on Nebo is not a good price. I'm sorry, because this horse really has to improve, and it's not gigantic turf move up pedigree, but it is pedigree that could handle the surface. And she has that one race behind Valentium, actually, where she finished a decent second.
Meanwhile, here's Mondeuse, the 9, 7-2, second choice favorite in the pick 5s, I believe. No.
The favorite, I think, is the 9, right?
3. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think she's the favorite.
We're set. What will happen here in this nightcap? 6 furlongs on the turf here to close out this opening day card of the meet here at Belmont Spring Summer Meet. First of 48 days of action. John Imbrial with the call.
Waiting for Wish for Magic and Mazel 18. There in the gate. And they're off. Slow beginnings there for Sailor's Treasure number 2 and number 10 Lass. It's New York Banker who is going out for the early lead. New York Banker is in front. Trick the Universe is down on the inside and racing in second. In between horses is Sport Model, who is next in third. Wish for Magic runs in fourth. Mondeuse on the outside is a close-up fifth. And Mazel 18 is next in sixth. Undetectable to her inside is in seventh. Madame Rose is next in eighth, followed by Nebo in ninth. And then farther back, it is Lass, Bellamy's Party Girl, and way back is Sailor's Treasure in 12th. The opening quarter went in 22 and 4/5 seconds. Here is Mondeuse up on the outside. Oh, and going down there, unseating the rider there was number 3, Sport Model. Another horse is down at the back. That is number 2, Sailor's Treasure. So we've got a couple of loose horses and a couple of jockeys down. Mazel 18 is challenged here on the outside by Nebo. So it is Nebo and Mazel 18. Mondeuse is third, and they're coming on for the finish. And it's going to be Nebo the winner. Mazel 18 was second, then Mondeuse, Wish for Magic, and Trick the Universe.
So Nebo gets the win here. Obviously our concern right now with a couple of riders who were thrown from their mounts. Looked like Sailor's Treasure and Pablo Fragoso and Junior Alvarado and Sport Model.
It felt like Junior fell off of Sport Model. We just saw all of the 2, 3, and 5 gallop by us without riders, so those horses appear to be fine.
Manny
Obviously,
Franco
we
was
do
on the 5.
not know about the riders, and we won't be on much longer, but we're obviously very, very concerned and hope everybody's okay.
All right, we'll see if we can get you an update before we sign off here. Let's go to Oaklawn, race 6. Bold Tactics, big favorite here, 3 to 5. This is a maiden special weight, mile and a 16th. Let's go to Nancy Holthus for more.
Thanks so much, Greg. Well, Bold Tactics looks absolutely fantastic in the paddock and on the warm-up after breaking post braid. David Cabrera in the irons this afternoon as the original pilot in that debut. Ricardo Santana does go to his first call in Steve Asmussen, one of 2 contenders for the Asmussen barn. That was a very solid debut last month. When going the mile, she did break a little slow, settled early in the back of the pack, but closed like a freight train. Getting up for second was beaten less than a length for the win. Now, I definitely think that she is going to appreciate the little added distance this afternoon at 1 mile and a 16th. She's posted a very nice trio of works since, including a recent half on the 15th and 48-3. She is a half to a grade 2 winner in Airstrike. Catalano is 23% with maidens second time out and 40% with runners second time at 2 turns. Again, Steve Asmussen always loaded for bear in the maiden category. He has 2 in this particular field. Most looking at the number 6 at 3-1, Sundial stalked the pace in the last race when making her Oaklawn debut, also her first time over dirt. She ran second. She does have the most 2-turn experience in this field. She was runner-up prior to that at 1 mile and a 16th at Turfway. She is a June foal, so certainly has some maybe growing to do, but she is also a half to a grade 1 winner in time and motion. Interesting warm-up, certainly on her toes, is the number 3, Miss Tulsa. Big price at 16-1. Looks very good in the post-parades. Coming from the barn of Donnie K. Von Hemel, Martine Garcia and the irons really showed improvement when stretching out to the mile. She ran a pair of 4ths, but an improved last go, beaten just over 5 lengths. Pedigree certainly supports the added distance, and she does look to rate off that early speed. But a very impressive group for 3-year-old maiden allowance fillies here in the 6th.
All right, Nancy, thank you. 1-2 favorite, Bold Tactics here, Wayne Catalano, David Cabrera. That was a pretty good debut for this Union Rags filly to run as well as she did at a tough distance to run first time out as well.
Absolutely no argument with you at all. She ran very well, and she's supposed to be a heavy favorite, though I do think the 6 Sundial, who on the dam side is a very strong turf pedigree, I think she's a dangerous threat, but you're absolutely right, Greg. Bold Tactics ran very well in her first start.
Yeah, back to your 6, Sundial, your third start. That was her first on dirt. Steve Asmussen, Ricardo Santana Jr., and the filly that beat her a lot was expected of Marion Francis. I want to say it was a Brad Cox filly.
Sounds right. Yeah, she's 6-5 shot for Cox, correct.
So we'll see. It's kind of a showdown between these two, the 2 and the 6. Here in this 6 from Oaklawn, Vic Stauffer with the call.
They're at the post. They're off. Stumble for Miss Martique. Slow start for Miss Tulsa. Lofthouse wins the break and goes to the front from Martique Miss, who recovers after that stumble. Sundial is 3 deep. Then comes Captain Beyond tightly at the rail. Bold Tactics is in a very tight spot inside of Church Service, and Miss Tulsa is at the back of the pack. So it is Lofthouse, the leader to the backstretch, from Sundial in second. Lofthouse 3/4. Sundial is second by 1.5 lengths to a pumped-up Martique Miss. Then comes Church Service, 4th and about 3 from the front. Those two are about 1 length in front of Captain Beyond and Bold Tactics. Bold Tactics, the big favorite now in the pink, is second to last and about 6 off the lead, and she's 1 length in front of Miss Tulsa. A controlled pace up the backstretch set by Lofthouse, but Sundial is coming closer now in second. Lofthouse leads by 1/2 length. Sundial is second by 1.5 lengths to Martique Miss. Church Service is already pushed along. She's 4th, but all in leaving the backstretch. Then Captain Beyond. Bold Tactics is still second to last with 5 lengths to make up, but now she's in the clear and beginning to advance. Miss Tulsa is the trailer. Lofthouse is still the leader. It is Lofthouse narrowly in front of Sundial. Sundial, Ricardo just took a look back. He's watching for David Cabrera and Bold Tactics to range up on the outside, and they are doing just that with Martique Miss as well. Sundial has the lead, and Bold Tactics is after her in second. Sundial final furlong with a 2-length lead. Bold Tactics is second. Martique Miss and Captain Beyond. It is Sundial clear now, and she's 3 in front. Martique Miss and Bold Tactics will decide second. It's Sundial in front. Sundial won by 2 1/4. Martique Miss was second. Bold Tactics third. Church Service finished 4th.
Sundial, Asmussen, Santana Jr. with the win on this Donner dialed in.
Sundial had the much better forward position. Bold Tactics with no speed, didn't get it until too late, but Santana seemed to got the job done and got it done fairly easily. A nice win for this one. Nice. So he's like seeing those Phillips Racing silks.
Big favorite there, the 2 in the silks, pink. Gary Mary West, the Black Diamonds, checking in third after that big debut. Does not do it here at a short price. Tough to beat this Hall of Fame barn and this rider, Ricardo Santana Jr. They're going to be showing up in the Kentucky Derby on the Arkansas Derby winner, Super Stock, in a couple of weeks. All right, back here in New York, that was a tough one to watch in that nightcap. We had 3 horses dump their riders. With an update on what happened, let's go to Acacia.
I don't have all the information yet, Greg, but I do have some good info to share, and that's that Manny Franco, who was one of the riders in that spill, is on his feet and walking back here behind me as we speak, which is great news. Also did see firsthand that all 3 horses were fine and apprehended out on the track. It took them a little bit longer to get the number 2, Sailor's Treasure, and you see Kendrick Kermush out of breath because he just ran there to where the jockeys were to check on his friends, and he said it's scary being there as a rider and watching it happen next to you, but great to see Manny on his feet and walking back here, and we'll update as soon as I know more, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. Manny was on the 5 Undetectable. Pablo Fragoso was on the 2 Sailor's Treasure, and Junior Alvarado was on Sport Model. Those are the 3 horses that dumped their riders here in this nightcap. Nebo the win, $14.80. Eric Cancel for Leah Giramati. Closes things out here on this opening day card, and we hope to start our show tomorrow with good news about these other 2 riders.
No question about it. Keep them in your thoughts, and if we hear anything, obviously, it will get passed along, whether through us or Naira through the press office, but obviously our thoughts are with them and our concerns as well.
Yeah, no question. That was tough to watch. You were just saying it to me off air. We've done this for a lot of years. Sometimes when those spills look really, really bad, that's when sometimes the least happens. So we're going to hope for the best for sure, and hopefully have good news to report on our program tomorrow. We are back tomorrow on Fox Sports 2 with the entire card of our first Friday of the meet. We're back from 1 to 5:30 Eastern time on FS2. And Kat was a star performer on this opening day card. Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado, Carl Pollard, and the daughter of Uncle Mo put away a pretty good group. She's won back-to-back starts. We'll see you tomorrow on FS2.